Here we go.
Hey!
Hi, everybody.
Here we are. Oh, nice. Nice.
Sorry.
I could
That
really
was
use
a
a cup
good
of
one, Nick.
coffee. Maybe just some water. Well, hello,
Oh,
everyone.
boy. Starting off well here.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be pretty, is it? Yeah. Hello, Mike Kuipers, Neil Landwarm, Tanya, Ludger. Is it Ludger or Luger? Luger,
I think.
I'm asking him.
Oh, you know what?
I'm going to go with Ludger.
Ludger? Like
That feedback was attached to the bottom of that other email.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
You're talking about the one from the other podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So hey, we are experiencing. No, we are expecting. I can't use my words right. We are expecting some special surprise, very last minute guests. You dear live audience people. And we can even tell you who it is because you guys are kind of like, you're here watching the sausage being made, which is not pretty. And it is Armando Carrion in North Carolina, Charlotte. And many of you who are in the live chat room probably also watch PTUK and know that Matt Smith is over here in the States for a visit. And I think he flew over yesterday. And he is with Armando and family. And I guess they're bored and they want to join our show. So that's great. I'm glad they're bored. It says right now, so far, Matt has had Waffle House and barbecue today. Ooh, that's a good day.
That sounds like a great day.
Oh, is this going to cause that stupid reaction thing? It's a new feature of Mac OS Sonoma. Have you guys seen that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I have seen the latest Mac.
Obviously not.
Oh,
there you
go.
go. Package.
Oh, it sort of mimics what you're doing.
Yeah, see how it came up with a thumbs up? Wait.
Now it's malfunctioning. It's already malfunctioning.
Father
There
Christmas. Oh, yeah.
All
How did you do that then?
I just put my thumb up. That's how it happened the other day.
It sort of mimics.
Put another finger up. See if it works for all the fingers.
Yeah. Put your middle finger up.
Captain Nick and I were talking. All of a sudden, I go, "What is that? Where did that come from?" So it must be some new feature.
Oh boy.
So how about this?
Ooh, very cool.
Disco Jeff.
Oh, I love the balloons.
Yeah, no. Well, Nick loves balloons. He should have them all the time on his.
Liz, I need to tell everybody here. I need to have witnesses that I love you.
Oh, there you go.
Boy, I love that noise.
Yeah, it's my Amazon package.
We're going to have an unboxing of some kind?
That's what we're having a live unboxing right now.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a quiet unboxing.
Oh.
No, too late for that.
I guess it's something he wants to keep to himself.
Oh. The penis extension tool.
You guys shared a lot of information when you were over there in the summer, didn't you?
Absolutely. You're going to have to call me Big Boy now.
I'm sorry, penis reduction equipment.
Steffi, where are you? Where's Steph?
Sorry, Liz. Sorry. Well, I guess we're not going to see what he got from Amazon. Oh, nope.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, that's something he's going to cut
a knife.
The bubble. Oh, are you going to wait until the show to do it or something? Uh-oh. That was a secret.
He's wielding his little penknife. Now it's the bubble wrap's coming off.
Bubble wrap.
Oh, there's the box, but we can't read.
Looks like a little carafe or something. It's hard to tell. Let's see. Boom.
Oh, mug.
What is it, like an electric a kettle? It's tiny, no?
A little little thermos jug thing.
Sounds like this is like charades. Okay.
Oh, is it a syrup pourer?
Oh, it does
I think
look
it's
like
to keep his coffee hot when he's at his desk, is it? Yeah, it's like a thermos thing.
Okay, an insulated small.
Well, you see, my Nespresso coffee maker blew up.
Oh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, it's see-through.
Yes, I've got it. How does that work?
The glass bottom jug.
There's no green on that.
How does that work? Yeah.
Must be reflecting the green from at that angle.
Must be. It's my new coffee maker will do a half-liter carafe of coffee.
Oh, you're going to get the bigger one, huh?
Yeah. So I thought I'll get myself a nice thermal
You
jug.
boys and
so
your coffee accoutrement.
Yes, I know. It's also, it's very nice.
Liz and your French words.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
it is an official language
Monsieur
up
le
here, you
Carafe. There we go. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Cool.
Actually, hot is the idea.
Yeah, keep it nice and hot.
Indeed. Right. That was exciting.
Super Fred Driver, hello. Oh, hi, Micah. Yes, we're just waiting for our guests to arrive because I'm sure Matt wants us to keep us late. Tim Van Ram, just pulling in the driveway. Oh, get in there and boot your machine up.
You have a retractable driveway? That's so clever. How do you just push a button and you pull in your driveway? Wow.
Well, you know, he's in Northern California. They have a lot of fancy stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Fancy gadgets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or else it's a high crime area. He just keeps the driveway.
Yeah, it'd be good, isn't it? As the villains drive up to your house, you pull in the driveway and they disappear into a big black hole or something. That'd be great.
Although there are a lot of villains up there in the Bay Area.
Well, that's where they all come from.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from that super villain Fred lately. He sort of
No, I
disappeared
haven't
off
heard
the
much
face
from
of the earth.
Fred for a while.
No.
Yeah. I wonder if he's still alive.
International man of mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's even more mysterious now.
Yeah. Dropped off the planet. Perhaps he's had to go into witness protection.
Maybe. Excuse me. Sorry.
All right. I'm going to hit record on this.
Don't be sorry for flying.
By the way, how's the crackle this week? Jeff, have you managed to fix it? My crackle.
Haven't heard any
Oh,
crackling.
I haven't heard any crackling yet.
No popping?
Neither of the nicks have been crackling.
No.
Good. I put it down to the Rice Krispies, but...
Could be. Yeah.
Snap,
no more
crackle,
eating
pop.
Rice Krispies during the show. Definitely not a good idea.
Definitely not, no.
We're eating into Nick Camacho's precious time.
No, that's fine. Trying to once I get everything set up, I will be able to do a few things for work and then hang out a little longer. I just can't.
Cool.
Can't go the
What's
whole
Jeff
time.
playing with there?
I'm just trying to adjust the microphone. Microphone. Hello.
Do you have a macrophone instead of a microphone?
Very good.
A microphone. Like Miker Carols and Miker Kuipers.
Probably for today's show, Texas and LaShock, unless there's something. I don't know. Do you want to send something into feedback quick?
Found out about
He thinks
something
it's
that
too
might be of
late to bring
interest.
things up.
Like what?
That you're going to make a donation to Patreon of thousands of dollars? No, it's never too late for that.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah. That's fine.
Our union requires a minimum of 3 days of heads up for us to adequately
Exactly.
research any
Research,
subjects.
make
Texas and
slides.
LaShock, I am sorry.
Yes, exactly. We actually do some prep work here, believe it or not.
We
Like
do.
it.
Actually, a lot. I know it doesn't show it, but we do.
Yes. particularly today.
microphone. There we go.
Seeing as
Main
I
man
have
Micah.
to, I'm going to have to admit to everybody that I am the one that is responsible for Roger not delivering an intro today. I forgot to send him all the information. It's my bad.
Whatever.
I'm so sorry. Just an
Sorry,
oversight.
man.
You're forgiven.
Yeah, we were pretty upset about it, Liz. I have to say.
I can tell. Oh, there's IHAL boxes. IHAL.
I have a technical question, Jeff.
Technical. Go ahead.
When I open Unity, it changes the volume in my earphones. That's normal? It looks like it's normal because Liz is shaking her head.
No, so I thought you were going to say when I open Unity, it always changes the input and output source. I always have to go in and reset it to my Motu. But it doesn't change my volume.
It doesn't happen to me.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure.
I never close it, so I don't know.
It may be that, by the time I'm listening to it, it's already been running. So I don't know. Maybe it does do something with the volume. There is a setting in settings in the Unity that's talking about system listening volume, which is right below the audio device settings. The input device microphone input one on the left side, about third of the way down. It's a system listening volume, and I don't know if that would make any difference. Mine is about 30% from the left, about a third of the way between off and max.
I don't have system listening.
Oh.
What'd you call it? System listening volume?
Yeah, so you see where it says audio device settings input device / microphone input?
Yeah.
And then right below it, it doesn't say system listening volume?
No, it just says number of mic channels 2.
Oh.
Oh.
That's the difference
I've got
between
one.
the Windows and the Mac version, I think. Because, we don't see that. Weird.
So Texas and the Shock, that's October 13th to 15th. The Blackbird Expo is on.
Blackbird Expo. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can mention that.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it in your notes there, Jeff.
Put it in the getting to know us thing.
Where is the battleship Alabama? Do you guys know?
Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, it's
I
in
know
I
where
was
it
going to
is.
say, presumably it's in Alabama.
It's Mobile. Yeah, right next to the USS Drum.
I bet it's not very mobile nowadays.
Not anymore, no.
No.
It's in Mobile.
It's in Mobile. I've been there. I've been there. What the heck are you doing?
I'm bored. I'm playing with my knob.
Oh, well, go ahead and turn your camera off. We don't need to see that.
Up and down, up and down.
What knob are you dealing with here?
I'm in ATEM software control, color adjustments. That particular one is brightness, and I've got contrast.
I didn't know you can control the camera through the ATEM.
I can control the picture, so I think it's you can control the camera when you got software, but you can't run the software when it's going through the ATEM. But the ATEM has its own adjustment.
Oh, but I think that if you have a Blackmagic camera, you can actually do all the shading.
Oh yeah, no, I can't.
Through the ATEM.
No, I can't do that because
I think you only do that with the Blackmagic cameras. I think.
Indeed, they're expensive.
They are very expensive. Yes. Yeah. Well, where the heck are those guys? We're waiting for Armando and Matt Smith.
Well, they're probably just drinking beer, giggling, going.
Jeff, I put that note in your getting to know you thing.
Thank you. I belched and I muted myself so you didn't have to hear my belch.
Oh, what a nice chap you are.
What a polite person you are.
I try to be.
I've heard of people like you.
The official APG Pungeon Master? What's a Pungeon? Is that supposed to be
Dungeon? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I'm thinking
Dungeon
maybe
Master.
there's a word out there
I thought it was
that I
something
didn't
to
know.
do with making puns.
Oh.
I'm very punny, yes.
I do enjoy a
See,
good
Tim Van
pun.
Ram is frustrated that he has they have the best football team in the country out there in San Francisco, and nobody cares because Unfortunately, Taylor Swift has hitched her wagon to the Chiefs, and you can't watch a freaking Chiefs game. There's like more Taylor on Sunday night. There was more Taylor Swift than football during a football game.
No
Yeah,
updates,
who's the
Tanya?
technical director?
No,
I mean, somebody needs to talk to him and say, hey, look, this is a football game that we're covering here, not celebrities.
Somebody made a joke about how like they were looking for the ratings bump. They're like, oh yeah, like Sunday Night Football's only been like the highest rated program for 10 years. That's just what they needed, was to like add another 5 million viewers. But it was funny for like 2 days, and now it's annoying to me. So
Tim's wife actually sat through the entire football game.
I like Neil Landwarn's comment.
I'm waiting for Amazon to deliver my cat food. We're all waiting for something. What time is it over there? Do they deliver this late over there?
7:16. Oh yeah, my Amazon stuff sometimes comes at 10 o'clock at night here.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had stuff come late also.
It's usually those independent contractors that they hire.
Nope, forgot to.
I also got a package last week where they sent me, they send you like the photo, like we dropped it off. Here's the
proof. Yeah.
Proof or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a picture, like the guy might as well have been driving 100 miles an hour down the road and like stuck his phone out the window because it was like completely blurry. Not forget like seeing the package. You couldn't even tell it was my porch.
Oh, there we are.
Finally.
What a joke.
What took you so long?
We've actually been waiting for about 20 minutes. Just Jeff didn't know that we were.
No, you have not been waiting for 20 minutes. That's a lie.
Excuse me, I'm an Englishman. I never lie. How dare you?
Yeah, I know Captain Nick. I know English people.
Yeah, he does.
We have our own resident English liar.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
he
great
is the
lighting
master.
there. So are you interrogating Matt over there, Armando?
Yeah. I've been a very bad boy. That's all I can say.
That's how we're going to do the whole show.
There you go.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Good heavens.
Excellent.
Probably not the best situation for Matt.
I gotta say, it's just like I've only just got here. I had enough trouble getting through security. It feels like that experience now.
Uh-oh.
Did you get the strip search thing?
Yes, I loved every minute.
Oh, good. Highlight of your trip.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Very much so.
Family
Yeah.
show.
Oh, that's you.
Hoist by his own
This is a family
petard.
show.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody be quiet. Here we go.
Wait,
Family
is our audio
show,
okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, family show.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
I'm trying to play a clip.
Sorry.
Is he this?
I mean, and I can do it live if you prefer.
Is Armando this out of control when you guys record every week?
Good Lord, no.
I'm the quiet one.
We run
Only-
a tight ship. That's all.
Only acts like this when he's on our show. I see. Okay.
I know. Well, I haven't got to worry about anything. That's what's so nice.
You can get away with it, you see.
Yeah.
I think we're getting the good signal from both of your microphones.
Yeah.
Tap yours, Matt. Okay. And Armando. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Okay, good.
Now tap
Awesome.
your head.
Excellent.
Now,
rub
and
your tummy.
Now
Okay.
tap your ears.
No. This is verging on exercise now. This needs to stop. I'm sorry.
God, we're easily entertained.
That's right. Now touch your nose 3 times. 1, 2. Yeah,
So
very good.
Matt, we're not on, but Matt we just flew the Hawker. We just took the Hawker
wow.
up to Greensboro.
Hawker. What's a
Sorry.
hawker?
A hawker.
Orca.
It's an American thing.
Orca. An orca.
Nick, this is
Or
absolutely hilarious because literally Friday just gone, he was picked up on it by our Nick on his pronunciation of things. So
Yeah, I
your
remember
tongue
you
could
guys
not be more
giving
perfect.
him a bad time. Hawker.
Yes, quite.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
you had to
quite.
write
Honestly,
on the Hawker.
the Queen's English, if you don't mind.
Kings.
What about
No,
the
it's
the
still
Queen's
Queen's
gone?
English.
The
No,
Queen
it's
is
still
dead.
She is. That is correct.
Long live the
However,
king.
It is still Queen. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. I bow to
All
your
right.
superior
Are we
knowledge.
ready
Nick.
to go?
Oh, it
Sure.
produces in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's too much of a hassle to try to bring you guys in with the back channel. She's in the front channel right now.
With the
but,
back passage.
I didn't say that.
Family show,
Nick
ladies and
did.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
Family show.
There we go. So you'll just have to grin and bear it. Actually, we do. We have to grin and bear it.
Yeah,
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
And that's what is in your mind, you nasty boy. Okay. And I'm going to do an old school intro on today's show because
Which
Radio
means
Roger.
we'll take 5.
because we
Well, it
screwed
could
up.
be,
Yeah.
maybe more. No, it's just some miscommunication. That's all. That's all right. Whatever. It's just more work for me. That's all right.
It's a firsty ferret.
What?
That's a great.
Not in front of the children.
I feel like that's a
please.
great
Come on,
bar
Daniel.
in Knoxville. A thirsty ferret.
No, it's the beer that Nick's
It's a beer.
drinking tonight.
It's good beer.
Oh.
What's the name of the brewery, Nick?
Badger.
Badger.
I beg your pardon.
Badger.
Multi full-bodied with Moorish hoppy notes.
Moorish. I love Moorish.
Yeah, right.
The Moors
more.
had something to do
I've
with the
just had
brewing.
barbecue. I'm very happy.
Ooh, I
I'm
can't
a
wait to
local
hear
host
about
today.
everything you've been doing, but we're going to have to wait until the Getting to Know Us segment.
Okay.
All right? Okay.
Ready.
And let me just play this. Okay.
I really
Yeah.
am sorry to just spring this on you. So
Yeah, you are, I'm sure.
Yeah, you look really sorry.
Yeah, you're sorry. I can confirm, yes, Armando, you are sorry. All right.
Tim Van Ram says, nice badger.
Nice.
Yeah,
Badger.
established in
That's what she said.
1777.
Sorry.
Nice beaver.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a little variation on that theme.
Okay.
Ready?
Quiet on the set.
Yep.
Here we go. And I hope I can get this right. Probably not, but here we go. I have both recorders running, and
Good.
we're recording on
StreamYard.
So I think we're
Did-
good.
Did we test Unity?
Yeah, we did before you got here.
Yeah. Oh, can you want us to do a quick test?
Nope.
Just, huh?
Nah, he doesn't care if he hears
Okay.
me.
All right. Here we go. I can't tell if I'm hearing you in StreamYard or in.
I muted StreamYard, so that was Unity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 588.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show was recorded on the 5th day of October, 2023.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, an update on the Ural A320 forced landing in Russia, an Aleutian IL-76 crashes in Mali, a Cessna 177 Cardinal crashes near Lake Placid, New York, killing a former NFL player and AOPA senior vice president. More news and your feedback. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 588 is ready for pushback. Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in New York City. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. Joining me from across the pond,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Lovely to be back on as usual. And I noticed the British are making a takeover bid for your show tonight.
I know, sadly, you're right. All right. Well, let's see. Who else do we have here? Looks like we have from his home studio in the air capital, low and slow pilot, A&P mechanic, old airplane enthusiast and an engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Camacho.
Hey, Captain Jeff. Glad to be back with you guys for a limited period this time, but still looking forward to get.
Well, we will take what we can get. So, welcome, Nick. And also joining us from, let's see, I guess Charlotte, North Carolina, two hosts of the best aviation podcast in the universe. It's called Plane Talking UK. We have Armando Carrion and Matt Smith. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Yay.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz.
This is unique.
Let's do some singing. Okay, it's enough of that. Let me turn that off. And
so you can tell it's a show that's that's doing all right for itself, where they can afford things like copyright. That's very exciting.
Let's don't talk about that. Shh. Shh. What is wrong with you, Matt?
Sorry.
Okay. Yes, of course, that's completely covered. And you know what? Thankfully, we don't, monetize our videos, so it's okay.
All right. That was a lot of legal disclaimers. I like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we don't. So I think it's best that we just go ahead and stop talking about this whole copyright thing and move on.
Okay.
With some aviation news.
Oh, I guess I'm not here. Okay, bye.
Oh. No, you are here. Dang it. I knew I'd screw this up.
He's flustered.
All right. And last but certainly not least, please
right.
forgive me, from a place to stand, a place to grow, a place that usually has a lot of snow. She is in Ontario, Canada, our producer, director. It's Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody. You too, Jeff.
Hi. We would
Hi,
never,
Auntie Liz.
Hi,
we would
Matt.
never forget
Bye.
you, Liz.
See you later.
I kept thinking, why is she not saying, okay, we'll see you. Bye. Good luck with the show. It's because I never introduced her. That's why. Sorry. My bad. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to recover in this post edit, but okay, here we go. Let's go.
Just send her a nice fruit basket or edible arrangement.
I'm worried about all the hassle of doing the post editing. Okay, here we go.
Stand by for news.
And I just remembered that I haven't sent you our show rundown.
It's okay. We'll just wing it. I was actually just logging into your Evernote. That's funny. It's good mind reading.
Wow. How is he logging into my Evernote?
22
What's
years
going
Air Force
on?
Special Operations.
Yeah.
Well, good then.
Jeff, that's the easiest part of my day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hang on. Let me, I need to make a note. Change passwords. All right. Let's see.
He's found your back door.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
It's just like the flight doc.
Oh, my. Let's start off with this first item. But before we do that, let me get the video loaded. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's one of the things we have to do with this platform, Matt. So we got to kind of do it on the fly. You probably have it all set up and everything beforehand. But, okay. Videos. I'm just so flustered because of these people that just joined us. Okay, here we go. I know. I'm just starstruck with the celebrity. Okay. First item in our news today is it's a video. It's live ATC audio put with some video. And probably the best thing to do is just let's have a listen. This happened in Southern California. This is from Bass Aviation, Real Aviation Communications. And the METAR is here showing 1500 overcast and 70 degrees. Nice day, but
November
overcast skies.
0 Lima Alpha, right turn at the shoreline approved. Wind 190 at 4, runway 21, cleared for takeoff.
Okay, this is Santa Monica Airport, and I'm not sure the full formal name of it, but just north up the shoreline from Los Angeles International, LAX.
Clear for takeoff, runway 21. Right turn short approved. We're going to left of the shoreline.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, I'm kind of confused. What is your destination today?
It's Kilo Delta Mike November.
Which is Deming in I think it's New Mexico. Is that right, Armando? Deming?
Yep, Deming, New Mexico.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, left downwind, departure approved. Remain outside class above airspace. Runway 21, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 21. Let's go first. Thank you.
Okay, so he's taking
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, are you going to be going southbound over the top of LA Tower?
Yes, affirmative.
November 0 Lima Alpha, Roger. Are you going to take the special flight rules corridor?
Special flight rules, yeah, we're climbing to 11,500.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, for the special flight rules corridor, typically aircraft will make a right 270, make a right turn at the shoreline to gain altitude over the Santa Monica VOR.
Okay, we'll at the right cross traffic to gain altitude and then to the shoreline.
No, that's not right. Okay, we're waiting for something.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, I'm reporting a ceiling of 1,900 overcast. Are you going to be able to climb up for the special flight rules corridor?
Yeah, we can climb to 2,000.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, the special flight rules corridor is 3,500, 3,500. Are you going to be able to get up to 3,500?
3,500, 30 miles.
November 0 Lima Alpha, there's a ceiling at 1,900 overcast. Are you going to be able to climb to 3,500?
We can climb to 3,500. 0 Lima Alpha.
November 0 Lima Alpha, start your right turn now. Right turn, remain outside the class Bravo airspace.
Can you vector me to get outside the class Bravo? 0 Lima Alpha.
November 0 Alpha, start a right turn now. Right turn, flight suggested heading 300.
Flight suggested 300. 0 Lima Alpha.
November 0 Lima Alpha, now continue the right turn. Continue the right turn. Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, turn right, flight suggested heading 010.
Hello.
010, 0 Lima Alpha.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, you can overfly the Santa Monica VOR and then fly outbound Santa Monica 132 radial for the special flight rules corridor.
We can fly over the VOR Santa Monica. So can you give me vectors, please?
Can you give me a
November 0
lesson?
Lima Alpha, I cannot give you vectors through the corridor. Negative. Are you familiar with the flight rules corridor?
Negative.
Oh, idiot.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, fly suggested heading of 050.
050. Thank you. 0 Lima Alpha.
November 0 Lima Alpha, maintain at or below 4,500.
At or below 4,500. 0 Lima Alpha.
Why am I not convinced that...
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, squawk 2025.
2025. 0 Lima Alpha.
Cirrus 0 Lima Alpha, contact SoCal approach 124.6 246. They can provide you vectors.
246. Thank you. 0 Lima Alpha.
I mean, he keeps saying thank you.
Yeah. He is polite. The end of the video here says the aircraft continued to destination safely. Somehow.
By some kind of strange miracle.
Yeah. Indeed.
So here's the Los Angeles Special Flight Rules area. Now, Armando or Camacho, have either of you flown down in that area in that flight corridor, or if not, are you familiar with this?
I'm gonna punt to Nick because I've only been to LA a couple times. It's always been under IFR rules, which is challenging enough. But before Nick talks about it, it took me about 30 seconds to find the procedures for the LA CIFRA and the mini route and the shoreline routes and all that stuff. I don't think this person was super familiar with it, but I hand off to Mr. Camacho.
Can I ask this is the trouble. I'm the most underqualified person to be sat in this chair right now, to be fair. So can somebody explain to me what the special flight rules are and why they exist? What's the purpose behind them?
Well, Camacho? Explain to us what these special flight rules are. What's the purpose of this whole thing?
Yeah, so basically, that area is a super congested area.
Right.
There's a ton of airports around there anyway, but especially, just the amount of airplanes going in and out of Los Angeles. And if you look at that chart, right, they're pointed, they have east-west runways. So the departure arrival corridor is fairly long. So if you're transiting the coast, there's not really a good way to go around it. So basically what they've done for small airplanes, what they've done is they've made this special procedure where you can fly right over the airport. And when I say I've done it a couple times, but it's been years. It's probably been 8 years since I've done it. And when I say it feels like you're doing something wrong. You are flying right over LAX at 35 or 4,500 feet looking down, and there's just airliners going, both directions. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to simplify transiting that area for GA airplanes, VFR airplanes. But you have to be aware of the rules, right? So it's like a basic procedure set forth by the FAA, but it is a procedure set forth by the FAA. It's kind of like a miniature version of trying to fly into Oshkosh without the NOTAM. It works very well for anyone that's read the NOTAM, but if you haven't read the NOTAM, it's not very effective.
So, so it's like a virtual corridor essentially to try and make sure safe passage.
Yep.
Yeah. So a CIFRA or a special flight rules area, probably the most famous one is the Washington, D.C. one that's got very detailed procedures set up after 9/11. But you have the Grand Canyon is another one that's had a long-standing CIFRA, and it's again because they're so popular, so congested, but without putting, restrictions to have. You need to be instrument qualified, or the airplane needs to be. It's an avenue for general aviation aircraft, and with almost any qualifications, private pilot, because it's in the Class Bravo, especially the LA one, to be able to navigate these congested areas by following a very specific set of left and right boundaries.
Right.
Another one is the Hudson River. There's a VFR corridor that's actually a CIFRA. And one that I used to go through a lot was Eglin Air Force Base. That's got its own CIFRA, right? And Jeff, you've been there 1,000 times going into Valpy and Eglin Air Force Base, obviously under IFR, but
right. Yeah, we're not using the special flight corridors because we're the people that these special flight corridors or special flight rules areas are trying to keep away from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense, when you think about an airport, especially a busy airport like Los Angeles International. On one end, you have all these airplanes coming in on their glide slopes into the runway to land, and then also all these airplanes that are leaving the other direction. So really, when you think about it, one of the best places for traffic that needs to transit this area is not on either side of the runways, but right over the top of the airport. Unless you're going to have a whole bunch of helicopters going straight up vertically, that's the best airspace to put all these people in. However, as Armando mentioned and Camacho, there are some very, very detailed rules here, and you have to be prepared for this. And initially, he was going to make a left turn at the shoreline. If you're looking at this depiction of the LAX or Los Angeles Special Flight Rules area, you hang a left and you're going to go right into the departure traffic at LAX. And most of the time they're taking off to the west. And that's why he said, well, you need to make a right so you can get some altitude, because it clearly states on the procedure that 3,500 is the altitude you have to be at, like exactly 3,500 feet when you're in this corridor. And then the people coming in from the other direction are what, at 4,500? I think another 1,000 feet above, going the opposite direction. And yeah, as you all have said, this is something you gotta know about this. And apparently this person wasn't familiar that was a procedure. He was just going to take off and just head straight to Deming, New Mexico, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and a Cirrus isn't exactly a slow airplane.
Right.
Right.
Like
Super Fred Driver said, got to give credit to this controller for not losing it on this clearly unprepared international pilot and helping them out as calmly as possible. Exactly. I mean, he had extreme patience, I thought. I mean, I would have said, do you have any idea what you're doing here? Do you know how to fly an airplane?
Yeah, I thought he was doing a grand job. But the other problem is this is actually a VFR corridor. We heard the cloud base was 1,900 feet. So he's going to be in cloud above 1,900 feet. And he's clearly not allowed to fly this corridor in cloud. You've got to be in visual flight conditions. So I'm a bit worried about that as well. And then a little bit at the end confused me, because the tower controller, I presume that's who it was, of Santa Monica, climbed into 4.5. I presume that's with the agreement of SoCal, to transit, which is actually the opposite direction's height. So I was a bit confused about that.
I think I know what's going on here. I think that they finally decided, you know what? We don't need this guy to fly or use this corridor. We need to vector him around the entire area. So I think that's that last heading was 050. I really do think that's what they said. You know what? This guy doesn't know what the heck he's doing.
Let's get him away
we just
from
need to
those who
vector
do.
him around and just put him at 4,500, and that's going to be, keep him out of the way of most people, I think. Not over the corridor. But you're right, Nick.
I mean, this is. I mean, it just sounds so dangerous. It's the only word I can think of. I mean, it's just like they're extremely lucky that something catastrophic didn't happen.
Yeah. Now, KFC make good winglets. I think he's probably using that name in our live audience because it's just hard for me to say. And don't any of the rest of you get any ideas from that. Oh, I need to come up with a name that's really difficult for Jeff.
What, like eye-haul boxes?
Like eye-haul boxes. We're used to that one. Super Fred Driver. Anyway, KFC make good winglets, says in Australia, they're called Victor routes, pretty much the same thing. Now, we have Victor routes over here, which are airways, low altitude airways up to and not quite into the positive, the Class A airspace above 18,000 feet. Is that is that the same thing that he's talking about? Because this does not. What we're talking about here, the special flight rules area, is completely different than an airway, really. Right. Because an airway is kind of an instrument. Flight plan kind of thing, and this is really as Captain Nick mentioned, this is a visual flight rules kind of thing. These special flight rules over LAX.
I would imagine that flying in this airspace, you get used to this, but there are a lot of things that are covered in your private pilot training. T routes. So we have VFR flyways through Class Bravos. There's all kinds of ways. It's not all kinds of ways. There's about half a dozen ways for a GA VFR pilot to navigate busy airspace. And I don't know that they're covered super in depth in most private pilot trainings, unless you're flying day in, day out in that airspace. But there are a lot of things to remember, that are buried in the regs and the flying handbooks on how to navigate this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not an easy procedure. You got to be familiar with it. And anytime you're flying in the Los Angeles basin, you need to have a very basic level of understanding of what's happening with air traffic out there. It's like one of the busiest places for general aviation or all air traffic in the world, really.
And this individual clearly had zero clue.
Exactly. So there we go. Lesson learned. If you're going to fly in the area, know what the rules are. And anyway, we're going to go on to our next story, and that is, an update. Yeah. So I was looking at the Aviation Herald, avherald.com, and I noticed, we had talked about this on a couple of previous shows, the Ural A320 that diverted out of Omsk because they had a hydraulic failure, and they decided not to try to attempt a landing at Omsk and go ahead instead to the Novosibirsk. And about not quite or a little more than halfway there, they ran out of fuel. And we were wondering about, was the gear extended, or was it just the gear doors extended? Something was obviously causing a bigger fuel burn. And that was something that we didn't know for sure. And there's an update on September 26. Rosaviatsia reported that during the final approach to Omsk, while extending the landing gear, there had been a green hydraulic failure, prompting the crew to initiate a go-around. Okay, we knew that. The landing gear lever was placed into the up position, but the landing gear did not retract, according to FDR data. The failure of the gear retraction was not noticed by the crew.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
I know that's not something to laugh about, but it's a nervous laugh, isn't it, Captain Nick?
That's right. Well, it's just like there are several ways of telling that your gear is up or down or where it is. One of which is on the TV screens, and the other is a remote set of lights as well. So you got two very easy checks to see if your gear's up or down. But they obviously didn't use either of them.
Well, apparently not. Why are we burning so much fuel?
Yeah.
Why is it so noisy?
I mean, you've got to have a little bit of sympathy with the crew because they were dealing with a difficult situation. Now they've had a hydraulic failure. They've got to do a diversion, and the weather was brilliant. So, they've got a lot going on, but, it's fairly basic thing to work out whether the gears come up or not. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not so bad, right? They landed with 216 liters of fuel remaining.
Yeah, but not at an airport.
Yeah, so but 2 liter of fuel for each person on the airplane.
Think about that, though. 200, so that's about what, 57 gallons, something between 50 and 60 gallons of fuel.
Well, that's when where they landed in that field with that amount of fuel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. I'm just going, I don't think that forgives them.
No, I'm not trying to forgive them.
Okay.
I was using a heavy dose of sarcasm there.
All right. No, that's good.
Did I read somewhere, by the way, that they're planning to fly it out?
Yes.
Yeah. Just
like,
yesterday, I think there was another update that they're really planning on flying that thing out.
I mean, is that going to work?
Well, yeah, they did it with that 737 that landed on a levee. That's right. And successfully, they successfully flew it out. They'll lighten it.
But the levee was dry.
Can. Yeah, indeed it was. Indeed it was. Yeah. Well,
it was really just forward thinking of them to land there with 57 gallons of fuel because now they're nice and light.
Oh,
to get out of there.
Good point.
Yeah,
good. That must have been purposeful then.
And all they've got to do is put a bit of duct tape on that fractured hose, and they'll have the green hydraulics back.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I mean, there may have been an engineer or two visited.
Okay.
Just
so. That's not funny, and I recognize the picture, Neil Landwarm. Look what he did. That's so. For those of you listening to the audio, we see these clowns in the live chat room, and I shouldn't have made the suggestion that they come up with very difficult. Oh, several people have done this. It's not funny. Well, actually,
yeah, it is a little bit though.
It is actually funny, really. Okay, so
I don't think you want to say that one out loud.
Careful.
Yeah, so how do we turn off the chat room, Liz? How does that work?
Yeah, wield the spanner.
Yeah, where's
the
Micah?
spanner of death?
The spanner?
Okay, well, that was very, very funny. Very, very funny. Oh, I have a video coming up. Okay. Let's see. Anything else to say about this one?
Good
so, I
luck,
mean, that
I
kind of
think.
clears up, that question that we had. Well, like,
I
was
hope they
the
live
gear
stream
up?
it.
Yeah.
I hope they live stream the takeoff.
Yeah. A live
Oh,
stream.
yeah, me too.
A live stream of it, and good luck, everyone.
Well, when they landed, it's not quite the same, but when they landed the Dreamlifter at a GA airport here in Wichita, there were people all around that airport when they took it off. I mean, they had to close one of the
spectacle.
Close one of the roadways. The fences were just packed with people.
Wasn't there a C-17 that landed at Albert Whitted Airport in Tampa instead of MacDill Air Force Base?
Mm-hmm. It was much, much shorter runway. Just like even worse than that Dream lifter at the Colonel Jabara Airport in Wichita. All right. Let's see here. I think I'm ready with the video. Now, this is a tragic crash of an Aleutian IL-76 in Mali. And they suffered an accident during landing at Gao International Airport in Mali. The aircraft touched down late on runway 6 left. Yeah, very late, you'll see in this video here. And failed to stop on the remaining runway. It traveled another 380 meters past the end of the runway, crossing a perimeter road and went down an embankment. A fire erupted which consumed a large part of the aircraft. And so this is, as I said, kind of hard to watch because it's just really pretty amazing footage here. So let's add that to the thing here. Okay, so it's floating, it's floating, it's floating. It's more than halfway down that long runway now. Touches down, and it doesn't look like it's decelerating very quickly. I can't tell if thrust reversers are out. I'm not sure what kind these engines have. I don't see any buckets or anything. And now it's in the overrun, in the dirt, and it's kicking up a dust storm. And then watch that tail. Okay, and now the airplane just goes down the embankment, and then boom, it explodes. Here's the fireball coming up there. Wow. That's one of those that I think in hindsight, maybe a go-around may have been a good idea to maybe make another approach and touch down on the part of the runway, like the half of the runway they didn't use that was behind them. Liz, if you'll put up on the screen there, that's the one of the pictures of the accident site from the other angle, the other view. And then there's some Google Earth views of the runway. It's a very long runway. I can't read it. It's so far away from me right here, but it's like 12,000 feet or something like that. I'm not sure. Or it's a meters. Not sure exactly how long, but so it's a long runway though. Next one shows where the airplane touched down approximately over there. As I said, more than halfway down the runway. And I don't know why they thought that the airplane would have been able to stop in that distance. And of course it did not.
Yeah. So this was so the Gao runway is 8,200 feet. It's a high density altitude kind of air. The air elevation is only 800 feet, but obviously it's the edge of the Sahara. And this airplane was a Malian Air Force airplane. So there's not that many airports and military bases in Mali. So my guess, this is complete conjecture, is that these Air Force pilots had been to this airfield many times. I've been to Gao. Funny enough, it's about 500 miles northwest of the capital, Bamako. You fly over Timbuktu to get to Gao.
Really, Timbuktu?
Yeah, no. You can actually, if your fuel planning isn't working out, like that A320, you can always divert into Timbuktu, or if the weather doesn't support landing in Gao, Timbuktu is no kidding a viable alternate. But with the temperatures there, but where I'm going with this is these guys have probably flown in there plenty of times. So I'm actually going to give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt where we're going to never know because there was 2 fatalities, but
okay.
We
probably more
8 kilometers in feet.
Yeah, that's right. There was 2 declared fatalities. This was actually carrying Malian troops as well as some Wagner Group individuals. If you've read some of the post reports, but there must have been a reason. There must have been a reason why they continued that landing, unless it's just sheer, lack of lapse in judgment or something. but I'm sure that they would have probably flown that IL-76 into that airfield many times.
Yeah.
So I'm really, this is kind of a question mark in my thought bubble as to why this happened, because they would have known to go around if they were able to.
So that means that if they touch down, if it's only 8,136 feet long, they would have only had maybe a little something between 3,000 and 4,000 feet of runway available to them after touchdown. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it just boggles my mind. I think all of us, like, why wouldn't they go around? Why did they touch down so far down? There must have been something else going on in that airplane that we just don't know anything about.
And also, there appeared to be almost no attempt to bring the speed of the aircraft down.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you say, whether that be from some kind of catastrophic failure or something like that, but I mean, there was no obvious attempt to bring the speed of the aircraft down. I mean, it lost a bit of speed by the time it got to the end, but it essentially went down that embankment pretty much at the speed it arrived at the airport.
Captain Nick, I'm not sure if this was your experience flying into West Africa, but the runways are usually so covered in dirt and dust that you can tell when the thrust reversers deploy, because it would create a cloud dust, and I didn't see that.
I did see some kick up that was pretty late on, about halfway through their landing roll, so it would only be about 1,500 feet before the end of the runway. But I didn't see much in the way of smoke off the tires. Mind you, that's the whole point of automatic braking systems. So I don't know how sophisticated this solution was. You don't normally lock the tires up, but I'm a bit surprised we didn't see any smoke off the tires.
All right. Super Fred Driver in our live audience says sad and unnecessary. You could always go around. We're making that assumption, of course. Maybe there was a reason why they couldn't. Takeoff and landing data is everything in heavy jet land. Yes, we agree. Yeah, he flies a very heavy jet, the big C5. C5.
If you're committed to land, the one thing you make damn sure is that you're set up well and you're not going to float, and you don't allow the airplane to do exactly what this airplane appeared to do, which was sit in ground effect for half the runway. You're positive with your landing. You make sure that your angle of approach is correct, because you just can't mess about if you're committed to land. But I don't know if that was the case here. But certainly, I had the feeling that right up to the point at which they touched down, they could have gone, nah, don't like this going around, because they still had plenty of room to go around.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we'll hear something in an update in the future to figure out what happened there, because a lot of head scratching over here for sure. Next item, a large hole. This is, by the way, simpleflying.com. A large hole ripped in Condor Airbus A330 Neo, which means it's a relatively new airplane, by Frankfurt Ground Handling Equipment. And this is, as I said, from simpleflying.com. Condor's newest Airbus A330 Neo Delta Alpha November Romeo Bravo has been grounded for repairs after it was damaged by a loading vehicle at the Frankfurt airport. No passengers were on board during the incident. No injuries reported among the crew. Let's see. Having joined the carrier's fleet earlier this month, this airframe will head to maintenance following a ground incident. An airport high loading vehicle tore a hole in the fuselage while it was parked at the gate. The damage is reported by Aerotelegraph as above the aircraft's sensors close to the cargo door. Images shared on social media displayed the sizable gash on the aircraft's fuselage. Frankfurt Airport has cited a technical defect as the most likely cause. I guess
yes, the driver had a technical defect. They're the static ports that it's nearly carved open there.
Is anybody else craving a mint now, by the way?
Well, no, I was going to say how much the colour scheme reminded me of the old German disruptive camouflage that they put on, the zigzag camouflage they put on their battleships. And perhaps he just got confused and couldn't see the aeroplane.
Well, Neil Landwarm in our audience says perhaps the driver was offended by the god-awful livery.
I don't know. This is a bit like Marmite. I quite like that livery. I think it's very distinctive. I like it. But there you go.
Okay, well.
I mean, you don't miss it, do you? I mean, you're not going to go around and go, wonder which airline that is. Everyone's going to
I could live the rest of my life without ever seeing that again, actually. I wouldn't miss it a
even
bit.
if it was in pink, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I have to think about that. All right, let's move on to the next item. This is from the Aviation Herald. And let's see, a KLM City Hopper Embraer ERJ-190 registration Papa Hotel Echo Zulu Yankee performing flight 1822 from, this happened 2 years ago, September 12th, 2021. Lined up on runway 25 right for departure via taxiway Lima 5 and commenced takeoff, becoming airborne at about the displaced threshold, runway 7 left. The aircraft continued to Amsterdam for a safe landing. On October 14th, 2021, the Dutch Safety Board reported that they were, I'm not going to pronounce that one, reported they were delegated the investigation into the occurrence by the German BFU. The DSB stated during takeoff from runway 25 right of Berlin Airport, the aircraft departed from another position that the crew had entered into the aircraft system. Consequently, the available runway length was 1,320 meters less than calculated, and that is about, well, I don't know. We don't know the metric system here.
Well, that's as American as ditching the metric system.
Yeah, I was hoping I would get a laugh or two.
Well, I was trying to.
Or try again.
I was muted.
Okay, here we go.
Well, that's as American as ditching the metric system.
Well, I know. Thank you. So I actually did some numbers here. The numbers in bold, I actually calculated. ADS-B data showed that the KLM Embraer usually line up at runway or taxiway Lima 7 and commence takeoff from the displaced threshold of 25 right, which provides 10,800 feet of available takeoff runway or takeoff run, TORA, and available accelerate stop distance available ASDA. After lining up via L5, the occurrence aircraft only had 6,500 feet available. So, a little over 4,000 feet less runway available for their takeoff, run, and accelerate and stop. Okay, on September 21st, the DSB released their final report. Let's see, concluding the probable cause of the serious incident were the Dutch Safety Board investigated the incident, found that the aircraft, okay, we just know that. We've kind of covered that, haven't we? They took off from intersection Lima 5 and calculation was based on intersection Kilo 5 because both pilots accidentally selected intersection Kilo 5 instead of Lima 5 in the takeoff performance calculation application. The selection error resulted in slower acceleration, leading to a hazardous situation in which the aircraft became airborne 443 meters before the end of the runway. All right, so what do you guys think here? Another case of just not paying attention to detail here. Cross-checking, it looks like they were both agreeing to the bad data.
I mean, my biggest issue from the story is the way that meters has been spelt in the show notes there.
Well, that's the Austrian way of doing it, apparently. Yeah.
Well, I'm just a wee bit confused because it actually says the aircraft took off from Lima 5. The performance calculation was based on Kilo 5, which where's Kilo 5? I can't see that. I thought the performance was based on Lima 7.
That's what I thought too, or that's where they usually take off from, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'm a wee bit confused as to what actually happened.
Yeah. I think there's a are we showing it right now, the airport layout? Yeah. As you said, I don't know where Kilo 5 is. I see Lima 5 and Lima 7.
Yeah. But anyway, it sounds like they used the wrong performance figures. So they should have had a flex temp of 35 instead of 57, which was what they actually used. And they should have had flaps 3 selected instead of the flaps 1 that they took off with. So basically, they didn't have enough engine thrust for the shortened distance they were using, and they didn't have enough flap. So I'm surprised they made it off the end of the runway without leaving a few tyre tracks in the dirt. There's no real indication of how they got away with it, because with that amount of an error, you would have thought they would actually could have gone off the end of the runway. I mean, there was a good 20 knots difference in their takeoff speeds as well. So, you know, that.
Yeah, I just looked it up, and Kilo 5 is actually full length on the other side.
Oh, well, that's a silly idea, isn't it? Fancy giving it the same number, just a different letter.
Yeah, I mean, it's across from Lima 7 there.
Well, yeah, I think that's illogical for me as a pilot. Lima 7 and Kilo 7 should be co-located, not Lima 7 and Kilo 5, because that's an easy way to make a mistake, isn't it? Anyway,
maybe you've just discovered. Maybe you can save 2 years of investigation, and we can just replay what you just said to the DSB.
Give him a call, Nick.
Yeah, I shall indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Liz is saying this investigation is a bunch of garbage. Just like
mind you, this is only a Embraer, isn't it? I mean, it should be able to get airborne in pretty short runway lengths, shouldn't it? I mean,
well, it's a 190, so it's one of the bigger ones.
What is it? 50 feet long, then?
We'll tell that to the Saab pilot that just upgraded to the little Embraer 190, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's probably thinking he's a big airplane.
Yeah,
it's a huge airplane.
Yeah, it would be for a little Saab pilot. Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing against
How little
Saabs.
are those Saab pilots?
Well, let's don't talk about those SOBs.
5'1", 5'2", maybe.
Sorry.
All right, let's move on. I'm tired of talking about that one. Let's do this one from Lake Placid News. Let's see. Is that the full thing? LakePlacidNews.com. There we go. Tim Van Ram, even. Don't laugh so hard, Liz. It's not that funny. He sent this in to us, and it's funny. His focus was regarding the one of the people that were killed in this, and
very sad.
not so much the other one. But I kind of changed the order of precedence in your note to us, Tim. Let me just read. Sad news to report: the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association's AOPA Senior Vice President Richard McSpadden, a former United States Air Force Thunderbird commander, has been killed in a plane crash along with Russ Francis, an outstanding tight end for the San Francisco 49ers of the past. Tim wants us to know that he attended all of the 49er all of the 49er home games at Candlestick Park, and Russ was a fan favorite. So it looks like he was not only beloved in San Francisco, but also Russ Francis, the football player of the past. But he was also quite loved by the people in Lake Placid, where he was had settled in and was living at the time, and I believe even ended up purchasing an airline, Lake Placid Airways, formerly known as the Adirondack Flying Service. They operate flight service at the Lake Placid Airport. Anyway, the only thing we know right now is it was a Cessna 177 Cardinal, and that McSpadden, the AOP senior vice president, was in the right seat of the airplane at the time that the plane experienced an emergency after takeoff. Quote, now we don't know how true all this is and who we're quoting here, but it looks like the airplane attempted to return to the airport but failed to make the runway. And the statement read, both occupants lost their lives. Now, we were talking about before the show recording that the AOPA senior vice president and former Thunderbirds commander was
Richard McSpadden.
Richard McSpadden, excuse me. what had something to do with AOPA puts out a lot of great stuff. Safety. What'd you call that, Camacho? The safety.
It's the Aviation Safety or the Aviation Safety Institute, right?
Yeah, Aviation Safety Institute. Yeah,
and we had talked about it on the show, I think sometime last year, where they did a wonderful video and experimentation of. We're talking about the impossible turn, which is when you're in a situation in a single engine airplane and you take off and you lose power, and if you're below a certain altitude or beyond a certain distance from the airport, that you should probably not try to attempt to make a U-turn and come back and land at that same airport. And they did a great job of comparing different types of airplanes. I think only one of I forgot how many were used in their experiment. Only one of them was able to make it back doing the impossible turn. And there's a reason why they call it the impossible turn. Now, we don't know what the details are here. We don't know really if they actually did attempt the impossible turn here at Lake Placid. We do know that area is in the Adirondack Mountains, a lot of terrain, a lot of high terrain in the area. So maybe they didn't have any choice. I'm not sure. But anybody here familiar with that area of the country, the Adirondacks and Lake Placid?
I never flew. I used to be based at Griffiths, which is just south of there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I never flew into Lake Placid. I will say Richard McSpadden we had spoken with him. He was supposed to be on the show, on our show. We do the kind of an interview based. What he was doing for general aviation and representing, safety, really complicated and complex safety concepts being translated into the general aviation pilot. He was doing a great job at that. He's been the vice president and the chief of the ASI for a while now, a couple of years. But his delivery method was really good. I've seen him speak a couple times, and we spoke on the phone a couple times about coming on our show. Specifically, we were talking about some of the Reno stuff that had happened last year. And, regardless of the facts of this accident, both of these individuals were very accomplished, and should be recognized for their contributions to general aviation and their local communities too. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and in the photo here of Russ Francis, you can kind of see some of the terrain. I'm assuming that's taken from the Lake Placid Airport. But the Adirondack Mountains. I mean, that kind of says a lot right there.
Yeah, and if you look at, I don't know if we have a view. We probably should have had a view of like a satellite view of the airport. But if you look at the airport's, essentially cut out of a forest, right, or the woods. So there's just not a lot of options if you have an issue low. And like you said, we don't know. I don't really even think we know if they had a controls issue or an engine issue, or there's a lot of speculation. They had an engine issue because the trajectory of the airplane kind of looks like it was turning back to the runway. But, if you look at where that airport is, and there is a ton of trees, and it's, I think they were taken off to the northwest, and there's a golf course, maybe 3/4 of a mile or a mile to the north of the airport. And that's kind of like the best opportunity you have, but it sounds like they, weren't even in a position that was an option. So it's an unfortunate
you're right.
situation.
We just kind of automatically jump, well, there must have been an engine issue, but could have been anything. As you mentioned, a control issue. Who knows? But it was something bad. An emergency was taking place there, and they made an attempt to return to the airport, and it didn't make it, sadly. And it's just a tragedy. Hopefully we'll learn something from that.
Russ Francis is obviously he's well known for being an NFL player, but he's, a lot of times we hear about like people getting into like post-career hobbies. Obviously aviation's a big one because it's so unforgiving, but you know, it's not uncommon to like read stories or hear opinions about people that can kind of like outpace their training or ability because they have, you know, the means financially or something. And that's not the case with Russ Francis. He was a really accomplished pilot for a really long time. He was flying Mustangs back in like the 80s and 90s. So, you know, this definitely wasn't the case of a famous or popular person, you know, getting into aviation and getting themselves in a situation that they couldn't necessarily handle. So,
a great loss.
Yep.
All right, and finally, last but not least, this is from a viewfromthewing.com. It's a travel blog. A Delta Airlines pilot saves a Broadway show, makes the understudy's dream come true. Now, of course, it wasn't just the pilot, it was the entire crew that was involved in this. Let me read you a little bit about this story. Pretty cool. Michaela Renfro is an understudy for Disney's Aladdin on Broadway. She was heading home from vacation in Europe last week, and her Delta flight was delayed. That was going to be a problem because she was about to be given a chance to play Jasmine. She got a message while in flight. Michaela, please send an updated ETA when you can, the text read. I may need you for Jasmine tonight. She was looking at 5 p.m., landing at New York John F. Kennedy with Immigration and Customs ahead of her and a rush hour transit, and didn't think she could get into makeup and costume for a 7 p.m. curtain time. Yikes. But thanks to above and beyond efforts across Delta, chronicled by a video she made along the way, she got to play Princess Jasmine on Broadway after all. She asked a flight attendant if she might help get her off the plane first. So the flight attendant escalated matters to the pilot. She was moved up to a single available seat in first class at the front of the plane, which I assume was actually a business class seat being used for crew rest. The pilot asked for a close-in gate, and he got in touch with his airline, who arranged a Blade helicopter transfer. The pilot explained that he was inspired by her living out her dream, and he just wanted to support her how he could. After all that, the plane didn't have a gate. Oh, I've been talking about that would make me go through the roof. After all this coordination, they get in and, oh, sorry, we don't have a gate for you. Anyway, I guess they found one. But a Delta employee met the aircraft, walked her through immigration formalities, and escorted her to her awaiting helicopter. She was delayed at immigration along the way, but showed up a minute late for the Blade helicopter, waiting to whisk her into the city. And she made it just in time to appear as Princess Jasmine. Yay, happy ending.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Jeff at Acme, have you ever had to arrange for a helicopter to pick up one of your passengers?
I never have, ever.
No, not as passengers, just when he's
Just
late.
not even for me.
When he's late for his tea. I mean, come on.
Singing at church.
If you land into Newark and you have a connection out of JFK, does Acme provide a helicopter for you?
Oh yeah, every single time. No.
That's some above and beyond service from Delta Airlines.
Yeah,
Man,
those certainly sounds like it. Yeah.
I think the reason those guys are at the top of the food chain, huh?
Must be. Yeah, I'm so jealous. Neil Lamworm says, so if I want an expedited flight in business, I just need to play a Disney princess? Noted. Okay, yeah, good luck.
I definitely give that a go.
Is Blade associated with this airline somehow? Or is that
I don't
think so.
Independent?
Don't think so. I think they're a separate company. They must have some kind of a agreement, maybe. I don't.
At least
because I know Delta has like their private jet section or whatever, right? Business.
Yeah, I think that. But it's now Wings owns it. I think it was something that was started by Comair, and then when Delta bought Comair and took over, then it became Delta Private Jets, and now it's I think Wings or Wheels Up.
Wheels Up, yeah, which now became back to Delta.
Oh,
because they just bought it.
So
they sold. Yeah, that was Delta sold Delta private jets to wheels up high and then bought it back low when they were having their troubles last month, 2 months ago.
2 or 3 months ago, they made
smart people.
It's great investment by Delta Airlines.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I think that's it. It's time now for the best part of the show, unless we are doing a plain tale, but we're not. So that's the best part of this show. Darn it. Getting to know us, which is the segment where we get all caught up in what we have all been doing between shows. There we go. Look at that. We get to wear our funny hats.
The state of that, honestly.
Isn't that nice? Okay. So we're going to go, let's see, Camacho, you want to start first?
Sure. Not much has changed for me. I'm still working on preparing an airplane to put an engine in it.
Yeah. How far have you gotten on that? Just still in the crate?
Nope. It's up on a stand. I probably should have put some pictures in the show notes. Next week, if I'm on next week, I'll have a bunch of pictures. So I got I built a stand for the engine. I got the engine up on a stand. I'm installing an aftermarket baffle kit. So basically all the the sheet metal system that directs all the airflow through the engine. I'm installing all that on the engine right now, and that requires some rework to the airframe in the engine compartment area. So I'm kind of in the midst of all that and getting all that work completed, and then the engine compartment all like cleaned up and decent looking, since it's a good opportunity to do that. So getting closer. I wish
This is usually where Camacho and I completely nerd out, and we could probably do our own 3 hours.
Yeah.
Let me get the crickets sound here. There we go. I'm ready.
Well, Nick talking about redoing the baffling on any engine, I'm like, tell me more.
Get a room.
I was actually thinking about doing a crew log on it, because I did some super nerdy crew logs a couple of weeks ago, and I was sitting out there thinking, I should do a crew log on what's going on here, but I don't know.
You should. Yeah,
it is way in the weeds.
Oh, but look, there are crazy people out there that like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm raising my hand. I could, Nick, I was out there a year and change ago when you had which airplane was it that was all the way down to the frame?
Oh, our Champ. Yeah.
The Champ, yeah. And I could just, looking at the construction, he had the Champ in the hangar, and then the Bonanza was in the hangar. They were working on it, and then the Luscombe was in there. So we just
unfortunately the Champ is still in that state. You didn't make it out to the hangar last time you were here. So but yeah, so making progress there. I'm hoping. Sounds like there's a possibility I'll have a work trip towards the end of this month, but other than that, I'm hoping to get that wrapped up here in the next few weeks.
Very cool. Very cool. We're glad that you were able to make it on at least part of the show. I know that you're busy with your family and work and stuff, so if you can just hang around as long as you can, and then we'll bid you farewell. Yeah, we do understand for sure. All right, let's go to. I'm going to save the best for last, which is these two knuckleheads down here that I'm pointing at.
Rude.
I know. You know me. I'm rude. Nick, what have you been up to, sir? Captain Nick.
Oh, right. Hi, sir. I'm just back after having fixed my camera, but we had our flu and COVID jabs, our boosters yesterday, so a bit sore in both arms. But my poor wife, poor Jilly, has been in bed all day with flu-like symptoms and feeling very uncomfortable. So she didn't react very well to that, which is a bit of a shame. And other than that, last week, not a great deal. This week, I've got county trials on Saturday to see if I can play in some county matches. And then lots of bowls next week. And nothing other than that very exciting. Certainly nothing aviation.
Nick,
wise.
when does the season end for bowls in the UK?
This one's just started. The outdoor season ended in September,
yeah,
and the indoor season took over almost simultaneously. So we all moved indoors, which is what we're doing currently. But the only interesting thing coming up is I'm heading off to Hamburg towards the end of the month to lecture to the Royal Aeronautical Society Hamburg branch. They're very kindly paying for me to fly over there and talk to them, which I will do on the 26th. I'm going to try and get out there on the 25th and meet up with our great friend Stefan, who is our 380 driver. And both Jeff and I have met him and enjoyed his company in the past. Yes.
Yeah, he is our actually most importantly our gin supplier.
Yes, indeed. Yes. I think I'll be bringing most of the gin home in my stomach though. Anyway, so we may well have a sort of a meetup with any local listeners who are around that area. Apart from that, that's really it from me. I'll let the two garrulous ones in the bottom left-hand corner carry on.
He's not
okay. So
surely.
literally last minute, like I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes before we were about to start our show, we get this text. Hey, picture of these two knuckleheads together. Hey, you want us to be on your show? Yeah, sure. Why not? And I'm so glad.
You could have said no, to be fair. You could have been forgiven.
No. Could have, but you know I wouldn't do that because this is an important thing. Now, Matt, when was the last time? Matt Smith, he's the guy that runs the video switcher and all the audio board.
I'm just the tech guy.
and does a marvelous job with the PTUK podcast, Plain Talking UK. And of course, visiting a fellow co-host of the show in North Carolina. But how long has it been since you've been to the States, Matt?
So I was trying to think because I think Pittsburgh, if I remember correctly, was my first ever trip to the US, and then
New York after that.
New York. Myself and Owen went to New York. I want to say 2018 probably, and so
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think it was it was. Yes, it was because I didn't have to redo my ESTA or anything like that. That was already done. Good. So then it would have been 2018 was the last time I came. That would have been November time 2018. We were going to a trade fair that for the company I was working for at the time, and Owen joined us out there because the Irish can sell ice to Eskimos essentially, had sort of did that. So came to see Armando. Got here yesterday, didn't I? So caught the 9 o'clock flight out of Heathrow and arrived here at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, how was the flight over?
So it wasn't a 7.5, so that was always going to be an advantage in my world. It was a really nice flight, actually. I was very lucky. I was in premium economy, I'll have you know. Really quite nice. It's the first flight that I've ever done where I wasn't hanging on for dear life on the armrests and stuff. Because anybody who's listened to me on Plain Talking, I'm not a good flyer. I've gone to extreme lengths to avoid flying anywhere. So always a big deal for me to sort of do something like that and sort of promise myself I was going to step out of comfort zones and stuff. Armando gave me an opportunity to come here, and it's just been in fact actually since I've landed we've done nothing but fly, so I'm fully intending on going home completely cured of any issue in terms of nervousness and flying and stuff like that. But
have you enjoyed some American culinary treats since you've arrived?
Yeah, this is going to sound terrible. My underlying memory of most American food is everything is so sweet. I mean, you must all be diabetic. That's all I can think of.
Well, I think that's pretty true. I think.
Yeah, fairly accurate.
We're all
I told them the top 2 ingredients in any ingredient list in America is neurotoxins and sugar.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, though. So I understand you've had barbecue and you've also been to Waffle House, but every time I go to Waffle House, I have bacon and eggs. I don't have anything that's sweet. You must have gotten the waffle with the syrup all over the top.
No, I didn't. I swear the bread is so sweet. Like I guess in the UK, because it's much more sort of savory. I mean, like 2 rounds of toast here in America seems to be like, it seems like it's like coated in sugar.
I can't taste the bread through the butter at Waffle House, so I don't know.
That works. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I say, my first ever Waffle House experience, and I have to be honest, I mean, what was presented in front of me, it looked horrendous. There's no 2 ways about it. But it is quite possibly the most delicious thing I've ever tasted.
It's really good
it's
stuff.
So wrong and yet delicious.
Yeah, so right.
Yeah, but Waffle House is as much about the atmosphere.
That's what I was explaining to him.
Atmosphere?
Yeah, that's what I was explaining to him.
Did everybody have all their teeth? Or
Yeah, I mean, no.
Well, it was
a short answer. I mean,
it was also 9 a.m. So it was.
Yeah.
I explained to him the phases of Waffle House.
Yeah,
there was only a couple of like blood pools on the floor left from presumably last night. I hope, unless they've been there a while. I don't know what their cleaning regime is, but yeah.
But if you walk into a clean Waffle House, that's suspect.
Yeah,
you walk back.
I would walk right back around and get out of there.
Yeah, something's not right. And then we had we went. So last night we went to a roller skating rink, which was just the most.
Okay.
I feel like I'm really experiencing like America.
The most. Hold on. The most what?
Yeah. Just like the most American thing. I think it was genuine. It was like I'd slipped into a time machine and gone back to 1981.
Yeah.
With the color scheme, the outfits, it was just brilliant.
Well, you know that we do that like every Friday night, all of us.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just brilliant. It's just like it's just bringing back so many memories of when I was younger. I should stress that I didn't go roller skating. I didn't really. I invested quite heavily in travel insurance. I didn't really want to test it on the first night. I've got to be honest. It was just like so that was really nice to say. And then
did you take him bowling too, Armand?
No, that's on the itinerary.
It's on the itinerary.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm a simple creature. That's all I could say. So we did that. So and then we, as I say, we went flying today. I'll let Armando explain because I don't want to say anything that's wrong in terms of your work and things like that. I don't want to accidentally say so. I don't know what you call them with that. So we went and did some private flying today. So the plane was.
It was a maintenance repo. Yeah. Part 91. So our hawker, as we say it here.
Beg your pardon?
Yes. Or somebody told me about it's like a orca, like the whale.
The H
orca,
is not silent.
Orca. I'm gonna say hawker. So our hawker, we have 2 of them in our flight department. We did have a flight scheduled for today, just a short out and back. But we had a maintenance issue, so our other airplane from Alabama is taking our mission for today, and we had to do a maintenance repo to the Textron Service Center, which is up in Greensboro. Literally a 17-minute flight. But I said, hey Matt, you want to go fly? Take all your Instagram pictures, and you're going to get 17 minutes of flying in a private jet. And he was up for it. So
yeah, I decided that after that one experience, I never want to fly commercial ever again.
Got a little
excitable.
Spoiled.
Yeah. It's so quiet. That's the thing. I don't know. I naively thought that like smaller jets would be noisier, perhaps than what you're used to on the commercial, like commercial flights and stuff. And that's the thing that other than like the road noise, if you like, or the runway noise, I should say, that was the same as I guess any aircraft when you're thundering down there at whatever speed. It was like somebody when we got off the tarmac, it was like somebody had flicked a switch, and it was just completely quiet. And that's
You
just
didn't tell him about the noise cancelling headset, then, Armando.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I showed him where the bar was. He may have been a couple drinks into it, so could have been asleep.
17 minutes? Yeah, he
gin and tonics at 9,000 feet are just like it's the way
we
forward.
didn't even hit 10,000 feet. It's such a short time. Oh, Neil in that chat room is asking smooth landing or pip landing.
Oh, it wasn't a pit landing. We only connected with the tarmac the once, so it definitely wasn't a pit landing. It was. I am saying it because he's next to me. I am not joking. I didn't feel when we landed. It was only the roar that told me that we touched the tarmac. That's how smooth it was.
I believe it. I believe it.
It really
I
was.
witnessed one of his landings in a tail dragger in that super cruiser or whatever, Cub cruiser. Yeah. What do you call it? I keep calling it the wrong thing. Super cruiser. Okay. Yeah, very nice job.
That was good.
He has mad skills. That's for sure.
Honestly, but it was what was interesting from my perspective was actually that was the element. This is the element of so we had to transition the aircraft, but although like if you like Armando wasn't involved in that mission, if you like, which was to get the person where they wanted to be, still very much involved in like the logistics, so that when the person who has chartered this aircraft is arriving where they want to be, to make sure that the rental car has been picked up and dropped off to where it's supposed to. I mean, it's a completely different world to what any of us have probably ever experienced. And so like to sort of meet Tony as well as just a whole experience, and had a great chat in the car about sort of like his career and the things that he's been doing. You definitely need to get him on the show at some point.
The goal for us the goal for us is that the principal never knows that anything happened. So all of the logistics of getting the second airplane, getting it crewed, getting up to the correct place, getting it up here, getting the rental cars, because now everything's shifted. It's a full day's work for us, but the goal is for them to never know that anything had changed or was wrong. The only difference might be there's two different pilots up front, but they were still on time. They're still going to show up. Their rental vehicle is still going to be right plane side for them. So they will never know how much goes into
hours of
behind
planning,
the scenes,
hours of planning trying to get pilots where they're not supposed to be, because the decision wasn't made till yesterday afternoon that an alternative was going to have to be sourced and stuff. And it was as I say, from a complete somebody who knows nothing about the industry to actually see it like from I guess from the cockpit side, it almost like planning what's involved in most people would think is a very simple task. Really fascinating. And then once we'd done that, dropped off all the cars where they were supposed to be and all that kind of thing, we then went to a barbecue house. Back to the food, obviously, because I'm concerned we haven't spoken about food for about 7 minutes, which is quite absolutely. And it's the most tender ribs I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah,
the most just like the chicken was it was just like.
I got to take you to this place, Jeff, next time. We'll add it to your list.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So
I fell off a horse once. My ribs were pretty tender.
See what you did there.
Yeah, nice. So did you go to a gun range or anything like that? Is that something in the plans?
Yeah, I think that's. No? I mean, if I want the full American experience, I feel like I need to go and shoot at something.
We usually do that right before we go or right after we go to the bowling alley and Waffle House.
All
right. And roller skating.
Yeah, after the bar, that's a great time to go shooting.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay. I assumed you combined that with visiting the Waffle House at 2 a.m. Is that like?
Yeah.
There
you go.
Huh? Yeah.
Go to the bars to go shooting a little bit, shoot some cans, and then go to Waffle House. That's what we did. All of us.
Yeehaw, y'all.
How do you think they open up those big tomato cans and Waffle House? Right?
Actually related to that, so the stereotypical American, I'm actually taking Matt with my family to the Renaissance Fair, which is the most ironic thing in the world. The Carolina Renaissance Fair is this weekend.
I heard you guys talking
I-
about that on your show. Yeah,
I tried to describe like the best way to. I said to Armando, like, what is a Renaissance fair? Because I genuinely never heard of the term or anything like that. I said, what is it? His response was essentially, it's 1,000 like Americans pretending to be British.
From the Middle Ages.
You're gonna just love that, Matt.
Yeah, am I really? I mean, my
No,
mum got a bit carried
no.
away, bless her. My mum used it as so she's literally made me
Full
an
costume.
authentic 15th century
that's
costume,
awesome. Oh,
like,
my
complete
God.
with hat and everything. So
I can't
You're gonna
wait
be
from
the hit.
I can't wait from somebody who's visiting from Camden, South Carolina, to hear him talk
I
and
love
go,
your accent.
"Oh, the accent's not that good."
Yeah, kind of fake.
How dare you? How dare you?
Jeez.
What's that? We had a flight crew witness us
A mob hit at a Waffle House.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
I
That's
didn't
when
know
you
they
find.
had them up in New Jersey.
Have you guys ever
Chicago.
noticed that there's surprisingly a lack of emergency exits out of a Waffle House?
Well, so they can contain the damage.
Ideal
you see,
spot,
that's what
yeah.
it is.
Ideal
Yeah.
place for a hit then.
Oh, one way
Yeah,
in,
They
one
can't
way
escape.
Can't run out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
in. Never noticed that or thought about it, but now I will.
Indeed. So I don't know what else is planned for while we're here. I sort of asked. The only thing I have been assured is that there is going to be no skydiving. That
No
is the
skydiving.
one thing I have been assured because it's. Just
Well, that's not what I heard.
Oh, good. Here we go.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
But yeah, so I don't know what else is as I say. I mean, it's been an incredible 2 days already. So it's just been, and it's just been. I feel very, very honoured to sort of come here and stay at Armando's. It's just it's. I said when I got there, like got to the airport, it's just I can't believe I'm here. It's utterly nuts that I'm here.
There you go.
Just,
Well, I'm sure he's being
In a lovely way.
a wonderful host, as he always is. A
Absolutely.
great guy.
Yeah.
And so are you, Matt. So I'm hoping that you'll have a great time while you're here.
So far, so good.
All right. What have I been up to, Liz? Well, anything else, Armando? Oh, Armando.
Armando didn't
get
talk,
caught
yeah.
up.
Well, I'll actually keep it super brief. Matt pretty much covered everything. Tomorrow, I'm going to take him to a fly-in. It's a grass strip, kind of show him the general aviation flying community. And this is related to Nick Camacho, actually, because Nick was influential in me buying that Super Cruiser that you and I flew, Jeff.
Mhm.
The Super Cruiser is for sale, and if anybody's interested, it's here in Concord, North Carolina. But we bought a biplane. We bought a HATS CB1 biplane. So on Monday, I'm going to take our 206, and then we're going to go. I'm going to take Matt up to the eastern shore of Virginia. So I bought it last week, and then we're getting some radios installed in ADSB because it doesn't have anything in it. So I'm going to take him up there on Monday to go check it out.
Am I going to be able to get in it? That's the only thing I
don't know
want. Let's say I'm a well-proportioned gentleman.
We'll be the 206 will be comfortable.
Yeah, I'm never cold in winter. That's the way I
Yeah.
look at it.
The 206 is nice and comfortable. Neil, it is an open cockpit biplane. It's essentially a Waco that is about 90% scale of a Waco. So we'll be flying around here hopefully in the next couple of weeks with open cockpit right in time for fall. The leaves are turning here, and
nice.
we're going to keep that airplane for a little bit. So anybody from the APG crew, anybody from APG, if you're in the Charlotte area, just hit me up. I'm always looking for a reason to fly, and we'll go up in the biplane.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Can't wait.
yeah.
All
I'm
right.
I'm like Nick right now. I'm sitting on 2.5 airplanes, and one of them's got to go. So
I was gonna say you are starting to sound like me, and you need to. Is your wife still flying, learning to fly? Doing the flying?
Yes and no. I'm actually pretty open about this on our show. Because she was a mom and open about her past experience with postpartum depression, and it's so common. Her FAA medical got deferred.
Mm-hmm.
And they are making it so difficult for her to even get a student pilot certificate that she's actually kind of lost the motivation to fly. So we've
Which
kind
is
of
hardly a surprise. Let's be honest. I mean, it's
it's a 9-month process. After a deferral, an initial deferral, it's 9 months for her. This is for a student pilot certificate.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You know, we
what we're
talked
going to do
about the last couple of shows here. We've been talking about that, the whole FAA, medical, VA, disability thing, and how the whole system is so broken. And this is another example of it.
Yeah, I'm actually caught in that. We purposely did not talk about that on our show because I received VA disability and I got caught. Nothing illegal, right? But just the paperwork drill of having to declare to make sure that the documentation from your VA disability is now completely and fully reflected, even for things that veterans are receiving 0% disability for, or items that were deferred, you know, right? You serve 5, 10, 20 years. Your body's broken after the military. You guys know this, right? But they are now, it's a multi-million-dollar effort on behalf of the FAA to compare their medical records with your VA disability records. And if you haven't declared your arthritis in your right knee, that you had a lower back issue back in 2004, they want you to fix your FAA medical. Previously, those two things were not linked, and many people were mentored that they were not linked and that you should keep everything separate. Well, they are going into our records because as civil servants, they have access to that, right? And somewhere in the fine print, we've said, you have access to that and you can access my medical records. And some people with not disqualifying conditions are actually getting medicals deferred because their doctor just doesn't know, their AME doesn't know what to do with it. And it's new and it's different. So people are losing their jobs. Like I'm a Part 91 corporate pilot. If I were to tell my principal that I can't fly for 4 months because of a paperwork issue, he's going to find another pilot. So lots of people are in our boats with, and then now addressing the stigma of aviators having gone or not gone to their flight docs and then post-military careers. It's just a big old mess.
It is.
So,
I think that was my frustration with that story is that, everybody spun it like the problem was that the pilots were trying to game the system. And I feel like the real problem is that the FAA is so messed up in terms of the bureaucracy involved with their paperwork and how they manage medicals that it just makes anything impossible. And it's, there's a lot of stuff associated with the FAA medicals that I feel like are broken and are 20 or 30 years out of date. And for some reason they can't get it fixed.
Oh, hang on. Yes, this is Captain Nielsen.
Yeah.
FAA. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. We'll go ahead and remove him from the show right now.
Hey, just remember how close you are to retirement. Also, veteran Jeff.
I was going to say, I will take all the heat for that, man. I
go.
It just doesn't, doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And it's, like I feel like we have like a bow wave of change in how we approach mental health in our society. And like everybody's moving the same direction except the FAA. And they are not modernizing their views or their approaches, which is unfortunate.
It just sounds like a lack of understanding almost about the situation, isn't it? Because it's just because if everybody was completely honest, then we've all had a history at some point in our lives of some form of depression or other. And you find ways to manage these things, don't you? So that it doesn't have an impact on your life. And I can understand, I suppose, because there are examples, aren't there, of where it's gone to, where somebody has made that decision to go, like to make the ultimate, sacrifice, I suppose, for want of a better word. I mean, somebody flew a plane into a mountainside.
Yeah, it's happened a couple times, but
and all that kind of thing. And is their reaction to something like that the reason why perhaps it's almost like the legislation hasn't been thought through properly?
Just, I guess, to kind of wrap this up, there was another podcast. I thought it was Pilot's Discretion podcast from AOPA, but it might have been a different one that had former FAA Surgeon General, so the top medical officer in the FAA, and I believe it was the New York, maybe not the New York Times, it was Washington Post article that said upwards of 10,000 pilots were lying on their medicals.
And 5,000 was a number, just shy of 5,000. 4,000.
So whittled that down. He explained those numbers, and he said the actual number is probably less than 100 of pilots.
Something.
Yeah, pilots that have a potentially disqualifying condition that they are being less than truthful about. The number is less than 100, but however, the media was portraying that as thousands of pilots, and that's just simply not the case. So,
yep, true.
Anyway.
It's the same thing we came up with as well. That's our point of view, our perspective. Okay, well.
Sorry, what have you been up to, Jeff?
Well, thank you for asking. I have been doing my usual singing at my parish church, and so that's, of course, you probably recognize that, Matt. That's from the movie Elf.
Yes,
he's in the department store, and he's singing.
Sounded like a cat in terrible pain.
Well, it does sound very similar, actually. Yeah.
Interestingly, that's what they say about Jeff too at church.
No,
that was a joke.
That is not.
That was a
I know.
joke.
You wanted to, Liz, but you didn't. I know. Okay, well, I can feel the love from all around. Anyway,
peace and love.
Well, there was one person that I know for sure loves me, or loves our show, actually. I met up with just a couple of days ago, and I have some audio for a little meetup that I had with Gus at the Atlanta International Airport. I'm here at the Atlanta International Airport. Have you ever heard of it? Visiting one of our APG community members. You've heard from him before. It's been a while since we've heard from him. He sent in feedback quite a number of years ago. We were talking about that earlier as we shared a kind of an appetizer plate here at the airport. But it's Gus. And how do you say your last name, Gus?
Sayans. Gus from Argentina.
Gus from Argentina. That's why we say that instead of trying to pronounce his last name. And you'll remember Gus was the guy that bought an airplane up here, a Piper Arrow, and had it completely dismantled and sent via shipping container all the way to Argentina, Buenos Aires. And that's where he resides. And he comes here to the United States every so often. And he contacted me and said, hey, going to be going through Atlanta on the 3rd of October. I think that's what day it is. And so if you're around, let's get together. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. And I said, okay. So here I am. And so now you're tired of hearing from me, I'm sure. I'm tired of hearing from myself. So I'm going to hand the microphone to Gus, and he's going to talk to you all.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing great. So we are here with Captain Jeff at the airport. I'm coming back from a business trip to Florida. And on the way back, I thought it was a good idea to meet with Jeff, which is something that I was thinking about for many years. And we could make it happen today. So we had a nice chat. We had a really nice conversation with a lady sitting on the next table that her son wanted to become a pilot. So that was interesting. And yeah, we've been sharing some stories about our lives and having fun. Yeah, so it's been great meeting you, Jeff.
Well, it's been great meeting you in person as well, Gus. And I hope you have a great flight. It's going to be a long flight to Argentina this evening. And just a shout out to, I don't know if they're listening to the podcast yet or not, but if so, perchance, Lacey and her son Grayson. Big shout out to you guys, and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. And as Gus mentioned, she kind of said, I hate to kind of like, I'm not really eavesdropping. Of course, you know me. I have a kind of a loud voice, and you can hear me from across the room. That we were talking all kinds of aviation related things, and she said her son is 12 years old and is really into aviation. And So she said, she struck up a conversation with us. And so anyway, if you're listening, Lacey and Grayson, hello from APG. And Gus, again, so nice to meet you in person. You're a great guy, like all of our audience. And hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, hope to see you again. And bye to everybody.
And say something in Spanish.
Spanish, okay. Gracias a todos. Saludos.
Sounds good to me. I'm not sure what he said, but anyway. Say in Spanish back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Vamos contigo en el estudio, Jeff.
There you go. That was a great meetup with Gus, and I talked about my loud mouth in the cafe there, and I kept hearing stuff in the background.
Shut up, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff. Shut up. Shut up, Jeff.
It's like I don't know how they knew my name, but yeah. Anyway, so Gus is with us in the live audience, and thank you again for the nice treat of the coffee and the hummus spread or plate or whatever you call it. And but it was really nice, and it was really the tables were like right next to each other, so maybe a foot 18 inches spacing, and this lady, young lady sitting next to, yeah, she couldn't help but overhear our conversation about flying, and she said she was just thrilled because her 12-year-old is really into flying, wants to be a pilot, and so maybe we have a new audience member. And if so, if he's listening, should send us some feedback and tell us about what you want to do with your life. That's be interesting, I think, to all of us. All right, and that's pretty much it. Oh, I think that Captain Nick might want to do that. Might you?
I
sir?
can talk about the cover art.
Okay.
Yes, we had a 737, I think, skidded off the runway when his undercarriage collapsed after landing, and of course, for an accident to happen, as you know, it's the Funyun effect. Those Funyuns have to line up. So we decided that it must have been Funyuns that caused this particular issue. So we've got a collapsed undercarriage, and you can tell why it's collapsed. It hasn't got wheels, it's got Funyuns on the undercarriage instead. And we also had a story about a pair of, I don't know if you did this after I left the show, but a pair of elderly folk who had a problem with getting their stuff into overhead and compartments in the cabin. Well, I decided that during the evacuation they probably would have had no trouble getting their luggage out, so that's them on the wing. And what's sex in the toilet. So if you
Can't pass
look
that one.
carefully at the windows, you'll spot the toilet window because there's a scantily clad young lady there, and that was about it. If you want to try and find the show number, did you find it, Jeff?
I did not, and I did look. And let me see if I can get something I can zoom in on, and then you can kind of direct us to where to.
Well, I would, except I've forgotten where I stuck it now.
Oh, great.
Liz, can you remember? Oh, damn. Well, let's have a hunt round. I'm going to bring the picture up because.
Okay. Then you can tell me where to zoom in.
Yeah. It's a bit embarrassing, really, isn't it? Because I
really did look, and I'm thinking, well, he really hit it well because I can't. I see obviously the Acme Airlines logo there right after the window where there's some shenanigans happening.
Yeah, well, that was there to distract you, so it wasn't anything to do with that. But let's see,
okay.
title art. Where's it gone?
I do like the luggage on top of the elderly couple's heads and the birds.
Yes,
very nice.
I could have removed the birds, but I thought they were an amusing an addition. Right, let's have a look. They are. I added a bit of a broken trunnion to the Funyuns.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah, I can see that big, giant, broken trunnion. I don't know why they didn't see that on the walk around, but it looks pretty obvious to me.
You know these Boeing pilots.
Yeah. Well,
did I put it in the engine? I can't quite remember. Oh
maybe
no,
you
this is
didn't put it in
embarrassing.
there.
No, I always put it in there. I would have put it in somewhere. How very
Let me look.
odd.
Is it?
Yeah. All right. Well, I remember now. Yeah, the old gentleman. Can you zoom in on his glasses?
Oh,
come on.
Wow.
Now, come on, go zoom in on his glasses.
I'm trying. Let me.
All of us are looking at this on a 2-inch iPhone screen, and Captain Nick has like a 37 megabyte.
Well, hey, look,
file on his computer.
I post this in Instagram and on Facebook, so you can always zoom in there. So have you worked it out, Jeff?
Yeah, I see his glasses are kind of unusually shaped.
Well, they are indeed, because his glasses make a perfect 8, and that was the middle number. And one arm of his glasses is a 5, and the other is a 7. So there you get 587, the show number.
Wow. Okay.
So and they're pretty clear now. You're looking at it; they're pretty obvious, wouldn't you say?
Captain Nick also designs escape rooms in his spare time.
Oh, I can see it. It's in the beak of one of the birds. I see.
Oh dear! It was this poor chap's wife. She got all that stuff draped over her face. Yeah. All right, brilliant. That was good fun. But I had nothing to do with choosing that subject. It was hoisted upon me. Yes, it was indeed.
Hoisted by your own petard.
Yeah, I always like to do that. Yes.
Well, that's what happens when you leave the show early, and then you have
yes,
no
I
input.
know. Never leave the show early because they're bound to talk about you.
Yeah. What did I forget? Oh, yeah, I did. Well, did you really? I didn't see. Where did I? Oh, there it is, right underneath the photo. Sorry about that, Liz. Yeah. So one of our live audience members here, Texas Anlashock, asked if he could kind of promote this happening, which is the Blackbird Expo, October 13th through the 15th. So coming up next week, I guess, Battleship Alabama. That's Friday through Sunday. Battleship Alabama in Mobile, Alabama. And there will be speakers who are people who worked on the SR-71 and the A-12. And again, it's a great attraction in Mobile, right on Mobile Bay, the Battleship Alabama. And I think right next to that is the submarine, the USS Drum. And I think they do have an SR-71 parked there on static display, if I remember correctly. I'm not absolutely positive about that. Maybe Texas Anlashock can give us a little bit more detail about that over there in the chat room. But yeah, so there we go. So if you're in the Mobile area next weekend, check it out at the Battleship Alabama. All right, coffee.
Hey Jeff, real quick before the coffee fund, I'm gonna get out of here. So I just wanted to
excellent.
It was good to see Armando and Matt. I appreciate you guys joining us. That was fun. And I'll,
what about the rest of us?
Yeah, it's always good to see you guys. I just get to see you guys every week. So hopefully next week I'll be back around.
I'm going to upstage Nick here and say it's always great to see the three of you, and it's great to see everyone that's not here either. The rest of the APG.
It's great to see the people that you can't see.
Yeah, we are also going to step off at this juncture.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, it's been great hanging out with you guys. Thanks, Jeff, for putting up with me and the last.
Oh yeah, it's always a great time having you on, Armando, and special guest Matt Smith. It's always great to see you as well. So we've tag teamed before, right? I help out occasionally on the PTUK, and so it's
I was just going to say, open invitation. You guys are welcome to join us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have your rates improved?
It's in the mail. It's in the royal mail.
Well, it's still in the mail.
Yes, it has been since 2018.
I defer to our financial controller.
Yeah.
Who is Carlos?
Yeah, Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't hold your breath.
Okay. Well, all right. Y'all have a good time. Enjoy the skydiving, Matt.
What?
Take care.
What do you mean
Bye.
skydiving? What?
Okay, bye.
Bye.
What on earth?
Just don't take your back rucksack off.
And then there were two plus
Yes.
Liz. Yeah, in the control room. 3 of us here. Oh, you can go back, I think. Oh, wait, I need to talk to him. Hey, we're talking with Nick in the control room, and it's a little technical detail. Yeah, it says and we forgot to tell Matt and Armando to hang around. Shoot, forgot. Oh well. Yeah, we'll work this out later. Okay. I don't think we're going to need them anyway, so we'll just use what I have recorded here. Okay. That was just a kind of a backup system, and the backup failed, apparently. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so much for redundancy, that's for sure. Okay. Well, but what did you say, Liz?
Good work, Jeff.
Thanks. Okay. All right. It's time now for us to talk about a way that you can support the show. It's called the Coffee Fund. So let me push the button. The button. Jeff Smith.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh, yeah. It's the Coffee Fund. So, hey, if you want, you could support us financially if you have the resources to do so. Don't do it if you have to spend your money on clothing and food and shelter and flight lessons, which is, of course, the most important of all of those. But if you have some extra coins or shekels or whatever kind of monetary thing, consider giving us some of that via the Coffee Fund. And you can become a member of the Coffee Fund. There you go. Bitcoin. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's just
send your cash.
Just send your cash. So anyway, Coffee Fund, a couple different ways. One is the Coffee Fund Classic Method, which is basically a PayPal donation page. And since the last show, we have a couple who have contributed via that method. Edwin Garcia. Well, I don't know if they're actually a couple, Liz. If they were a couple of people who have, you know what I meant. That's pretty funny, though. Edwin Garcia Melendez and Stephen Simpson. They took advantage of the Coffee Fund Classic Method. And the other way that you can support our show financially and become part of the Coffee Fund cadre, Coffee Bar Club, is Patreon. And since our last show, we have a couple of new executive producers. One, Rodrigo Pacheco. He said, I have fun with my last name. What would you say, Liz? Pacheco? Pacheco? Okay, I'm saying Pacheco. What do you say, Captain Nick?
Pacheco.
Pacheco. Okay. So you're thinking CH on that. It could be. So I don't know. We do have some feedback from Rodrigo. And also...
it could be Pacheco.
Could be. Okay, I'm sorry I even asked.
Japanese gambling, yes.
Look what you've gotten us into. Let's just call him Rodrigo. Okay, and Samuel Aftanas. That sounds good. Anyway, so thank you very much for becoming executive producers on Patreon. So, hey, if you want to join this great group of folks, just head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. Hey, we will too. All right. Do I need a break? Liz is asking. I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good. All right, so let me get this thing all lined up for the feedback. And, okay, cursor, go onto the screen, please. There we go. I've got some audio feedback coming up here. Okay. Are you ready? Here we go. Feedback. Timely feedback.
Incoming message.
All right. This is some audio feedback sent to us from Grinner. He was with us. We were about to play it on the last show. We ran out of time, and he had to leave. He is over in some part of the world where it's much later. And so I don't know if Grinner is with us this week in our live audience or not. Yeah, I haven't seen him. But anyway, the cool thing is that we record the show. So hopefully he'll hear us talking about his audio feedback in the replay. So let's hear what he has to say, shall we?
Hey, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Steph, Miami Rick, and Nick C. Grinner here from the UK, providing some feedback on the incredibly tragic gliding accident in the UK last year, discussed in APG 585. Aside from being a professional airline pilot, I also am quite involved in the British Gliding Association, and I'm a senior examiner and have been a gliding instructor for about the last 30 odd years. And I do have a little bit more information to expand on what you discussed in APG 585. Firstly, the two young glider pilots that were discussed in the accident report. One of them was actually a former colleague of mine at my previous airline, and the two friends had left the club of one of them to go down to the club of the second pilot to do some flying. It's quite a unique site in the south of the UK, with a very, very long line of hills called the South Downs, which in a northerly wind provides some exceptional ridge soaring conditions. And I do believe that the two friends had elected to move their gliders from one site to the second early that morning to take advantage of those conditions. They'd arrived early, as the report had stated, and had rigged their own gliders before the other club members had turned up to prepare for flying that day. And the accident pilot involved had been helping other pilots to rig and prepare gliders, which had included doing the positive control checks that had been discussed within the accident report. Sadly, it would appear that he omitted to do them on his own glider, which meant that he'd failed to notice that he hadn't connected the elevator push rod on his own glider, which led to the tragic circumstances of the accident. To expand a little bit on what positive control checks mean, unlike powered aeroplanes, pretty much all sailplanes, certainly all sailplanes to my knowledge, have push rods rather than cables, because sailplanes are designed to be taken apart and rigged pretty much on a daily basis, and therefore cables would be a really, really difficult thing to actually utilize for sailplanes. So push rods are the way, and there are very, very different methods of connecting up those push rods. All modern sailplanes nowadays have self-connecting controls, which means that the likelihood of a control misconnection is extremely remote. But the older types of glider, like the ASW20 that the accident pilot was flying, do have a system called hotelier connections, which I won't go into the technicalities of because they're quite complicated. But suffice to say that you can feel like you've connected them without them actually being positively connected. And what positive control checks mean is that two people are involved, where one person actually holds the control surface still whilst the other person in the cockpit moves the control stick or the rudders. The rudders don't usually get disconnected, but you always do the rudders as well. but primarily the elevators and ailerons are moved to see whether there's any give in the controls, and applying sufficient force, and the recommendation is somewhere around 15 to 20 pounds of force. If a control wasn't connected correctly, then that would make itself apparent straight away. So unlike doing positive control checks in a powered aeroplane, where you sit in the cockpit and you move the controls in the cockpit and watch for the control surfaces to move, which is conventional in every other powered aeroplane, the positive control check in a sailplane is a physical restraining of the control surface and moving the control stick to see whether there's any give in the system. So hopefully that's given you a little bit more information about that. Grinner out. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Grinner. Great feedback regarding the pushrod system of modern sailplanes. And it's making more sense to us now, the positive control checks. And you know what? You're not the only one who sent us some feedback regarding this. In fact, we got some... oh shoot, I thought I had it all lined up. Here we go. Yeah,
Number
from
4.
Stephen Devine. I've met Steve. Well, he'll mention this, but I've met him a couple of times, and he recorded some audio for us. So let's hear what Steve has to say.
Hello, APG community. This is Steve from the Philadelphia area. Been a long time since I've given any feedback. Jeff, you might remember me. We've had a few meetups in Philadelphia some years ago, and Nick, we had a meetup in Manhattan with Radio Roger, which seems like yesterday, but was probably 4 years ago. I don't remember. But anyway, this is regarding feedback to show number 585 regarding the positive control check for gliders. I am a CFI and glider, and have been flying gliders since I was 14 years old, and I'm 61 and still going pretty strong in the soaring community. I'm a CFI in both gliders and airplanes, as well as a tow pilot. If you remember, I'm fortunate enough to do checkouts and towing in a L-19 Bird Dog. But regarding the positive control check, if this has not already been addressed by someone at this point, I could expound slightly more on it. What a positive control check is in the soaring community is we not only make sure that there is correct movement of the elevator and ailerons and also dive brakes, but we apply pressure to those surfaces to make sure that the push rods are connected and actually moving the surface, and it's not due to a partial hookup. Modern gliders, as I will define as fiberglass gliders, are all push rod connected. And in years ago, they started coming out with auto hookups. So as soon as you put the wings on and the elevator on, the control rods would hook up automatically. And it's pretty flawless today in very new gliders, but some of the older fiberglass gliders, the automatic hookups were not so automatic, and that you could have a situation where you think it's hooked up, but it's not, in that the two rods are sort of jammed together, and you can still have some movement of the control surface, but it's not actually connected. So by actually somebody holding on to the control surface and making sure that there's actually force required to move the control surface throughout its full range of motion, thereby ensuring that the push rods are actually connected. It's done regularly at my glider club, even though we don't disassemble the gliders, but most gliders, as you know, are disassembled at the end of the day and kept in trailers. So those hookups are very important. Those checks, I should say, are very important. Unfortunately, about, 15 years ago, I witnessed an accident that ended up in a fatality of a glider pilot who did not have a control surface hooked up properly. It was an older fiberglass glider, and apparently this type of glider was known for the elevator possibly given a false indication that the connections was made when it really wasn't. And it's my understanding that a positive control check was done on that glider, but it was not done through the full range of motion. So the elevator did not have full range of motion. If that would have been checked, this accident may or may not have happened. But on takeoff, the glider pilot was an aero tow being pulled up by an airplane. The glider PIO'd, pilot-induced oscillated into the ground initially after takeoff, and it was a pretty hard PIO to strike the ground, and I remember being alarmed at that. And then they seemed to have recovered, and about 200 feet more down the runway, another PIO occurred that was very severe, to the extent that the wings flexed to the point where the wingtips actually hit the turf runway. And then the glider immediately began to kite, meaning going up like a kite behind the tow plane. Very fortunate that the rope broke before it upset the tow pilot and causing him to crash. The tow pilot was able to recover, but the rope broke. The glider resumed level flight remarkably, and it really looked at that point that the glider was under control and that there was going to be a save made here. But shortly after that level flight was attained, the glider nosed over and impacted the ground beyond vertical, killing the pilot. NTSB came out and investigated the accident and found that the horizontal stabilizer, or elevator, I should say, was not connected to the push rod. And apparently that glider is known for that issue. And there are, if you go to that glider's club website, for that type of glider, there are, I guess, articles written about how to make sure that your elevator is connected. And so it's an unfortunate thing that can happen, and that's why the soaring community has instituted what we call positive control checks. I hope that sheds some light on the subject. Love listening to the show. Keep it up. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. I met, I remember both of or at least two times that I've met you, and it's always been a pleasure. And thank you very much for your expertise in soaring and this positive control check issue. And it sounds like it's led to untimely deaths of several people. So it's a very important thing to do. Make sure these checks are done.
Yeah, isn't it funny? From the most primitive of aircraft right up to the largest airliner, we all should do control checks, and I've spent my life doing them. So, very important. Something you should never skimp.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. El Pilato wades in again. He says, opinions are like pilots' egos. You can never squash them or quash them, and it is here, let me try that again. Opinions are like pilots' egos. You can never quash them, and it is usually just a load of hot air. I wanted to quote someone else, but I'm aware, have been reminded on many of my interactions with the APG that this is a family show.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
Oh, has Matt come back?
Yeah, oh, where is he? I don't see them.
I don't know.
Yeah, but he's there in the what do they call that? In
spirit.
On a stage in the wings, I think, in the wings. Yeah. Okay. Turning back to APG 585 and United Flight 328 from Denver to Honolulu, and it's an in-flight fire. The ensuing discussions took me back once again to another of my excellent Boeing 737 type rating instructor's lessons. It was our first crack at the EFATO, EFATO, engine fire after takeoff. I thought the captain and I did a pretty good job and got as far as to fire both bottles into the offending engine. And like many pilots before and after us, breathed a sigh of relief once the fire light went out. But from the back of the sim came the thick Aussie accent of, "Yeah, sure?" I don't know. Can you do an Aussie accent there?
I thought you did a pretty good job, actually, quite honestly.
Well, I think yours is going to be better. Yeah, do it better.
Yeah, sure?
Yeah, that's better. Both the captain and I turned, and after a quick mind meld, nodded in concert. He leaned forward, poking a finger at the pedestal where the overheat fire protection panel sat. He tapped the fault light. "What does that mean?" Or say it in Australian accent.
Oh, what does that mean?
We just looked blankly at him. After a dramatic pause, he said,
means you both most likely stuffed it. If you think it's all now well.
No, they stuffed it.
Yeah, well,
now we're getting critics in our live audience.
Yeah, if you think you could do better, join the show.
Exactly. This is this week's episode of the APG players. Enjoy it. We're doing the best we can. That small, almost insignificant fault. I should be fair. We didn't discuss doing this before we started reading this feedback, so no rehearsals at all. Yeah.
I'm used to it.
That small, almost insignificant fault light is the one light that could let you know if your fire is truly out. Its job is to alert you to the fact that both fire loops for one engine, have failed. If it's on, it means you are most likely still burning. Such a small light, how does this not also have a bell that can rip you from your deepest sleep?
God.
A good point.
Another bell on the 737. That's just what you need.
As you know, I now fly Airbus, and ECAM will give me a ping if both fire loops fail, and a little spike comes up from the little seat cushion, and pokes your butt. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the first officers.
Just
not the
you don't want to harm the captain, because the first officers is probably more physically taut, than the
indeed
old flabby bottom of a captain. I don't even want to think about it either. As you know, I fly I'm going to start over here. As you know, I now fly Airbus, and ECAM will give you a ping if both fire loops fail. And that's enough for me to decipher whether I can go on to putter around a hold and bat some ducks in a row or get it on the deck right smartly. However, below, he's sounding very American there all of a sudden. Isn't he British?
Yeah,
I think he is.
fair enough.
However, below 800 feet on the radio altimeter landing inhibit kicks in, and that bit of vital info is inhibited until landing. Hence why on a return after firing my 2 fire bottles and the fire is not out, I'm committed to land below 800 feet above the airport level, because if the fire light goes out, I will not be able to tell if the fire is out as advertised or burnt through the loops. In short, if I have to deal with an engine fire, I always ensure I have at least one fire loop operational in the engine in question before I decide to slow things down after the fire light extinguishes. Calm air, strong tailwinds, and long runways to you all. Els Pilato.
Yeah, lots of good stuff there. Well done, Els Pilato. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I can't say that we used to commit at 800 feet after an engine fire that we assumed was extinguished, but I do see your point. We had the advantage. I can't remember if Els Pilato is a real pilot or a cargo pilot. Can you remember, Jeff? He's a real pilot. Okay, so because I would be I would have a line through to the cabin crew, really, because I want one of them. Looking at one of my engines and making sure that they're not flaming engines.
Those darn flaming
Which
engines.
I think is always nice to have that additional confirmation.
Absolutely it is. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's continue on with Les. He says, let's see, he's a truck driver Les in Iowa. I spotted the attached picture of the Katy Freeway in Houston, Texas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and thought of our future explorer, Captain Jeff.
Hell,
somewhere.
Spells.
Yeah,
how many lanes?
It's 26.
You are joking.
In the middle of 26 lanes of traffic, grateful his motorhome doesn't have active TCAS at this moment. And what do you think about that, Captain Nick?
Very impressive.
I know.
It is indeed, yes. 26.
The yellow arrow is where I envision Jeff and his pristine home is, wishing it came with inflatable boat bumpers. Yeah, maybe I should put that on as an option. I think the Katy Freeway, if I'm not mistaken, we used to, in our several years ago, decades ago, we used to stay in a layover hotel right around that area, and it's just incredible to see how the number of lanes of traffic in that.
Wow! Did they give you gas masks when you arrived at the hotel?
No, we just suck it up and enjoy it. Get a cigarette out. And,
absolutely,
smoke
why
a little
not?
bit.
So, knowing your history of hitting things in RVs, you're going to have cow catchers fitted on your new one?
No, wait a minute. Oh, I see what you're saying. I was thinking backing up, but I didn't.
No, on the front.
Yeah, well, I think
to scoop up all those bins.
A cow catcher might be a good accessory for me to install.
Indeed, yeah.
Tim Van Ram in our live audience says no one uses a blinker there. Well, I mean, what's the point, really? What's the point? Are you making fun of our lovely Houston, Texas drivers?
Look at all that concrete.
They don't need a darn blinker. They need that. I'll take care of it.
Right.
Get them out of your way.
Stick a 6-shooter out of the window.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they'll get your signal. Speaking of Australians with unusually and inappropriately and just not even, I don't know what else to say. It's just why. KFC Make Good Winglets sent us some feedback. He says, more runway numbers and compass madness. In episode 586, there was a discussion regarding runway naming conventions and compass headings. I have some information to help, or some more information to help throw a spanner in the works. Well, thank you very much for that. As well as changing runway numbers to allow for more than 3 parallel runways, some airports may deviate from the actual magnetic runway heading to avoid using confusing numbers. Oh, yeah, that's right. An example of this is at Perth Airport in Western Australia. The longest runway there is named runway 21/03. However, the actual runway headings are 196 and 016, respectively. Using some difficult math, I calculated it to be a whopping 14 degrees off. You might be wondering why Perth Airport is trying to be so difficult. My guess is they wanted to avoid using the numbers 2002. Although this would be technically correct, I believe this number pairing was avoided as it has the highest likelihood of being confused by pilots over the radio when issued a takeoff or landing clearance. This could also be said for runway 31 and 13. Yeah, I think I've encountered a lot of runway 31s and 13s, and it is confused at times.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the excuse I use to help me sleep at night. I hope more knowledgeable members of this community can shed some light on the matter. Love your work, APG crew. Till next time. Well, KFC Make Good Winglets. Thank you for the feedback. And obviously, nobody more knowledgeable than you has chimed in on this. So
no, it's the sort of thing that we don't tend to worry about, really. After all, when you're it's a rough indication that you're pointing on in the correct direction. It's not like we measure it to the degree on our compasses, and when you're making an approach, any drift you've got would mean that your compass heading might be many degrees off the runway heading. So it's just a last chance check that you're bringing it in on the correct end of the runway. So we don't worry too much about it. And after all, you have to be pretty damn close to it to actually read it. And by that point, we're usually looking a bit further down the runway to judge our, pitch angle for the flare. So, yeah.
Yep. Shift the gaze and look at the horizon.
Indeed.
It's always a good technique. Super Fred Driver says Atlanta does that. Do that. Let's see. Atlanta does that. Do that. Don't. Oh, so they don't have 9 A, B, C, D, and E. Yeah, I mean we can't do numbers and no, we do actually. We do letters and numbers. So never mind. But all good stuff. All good points made. And let's see. I think that we can move on now to the feedback from Pedro. He says, double check your departures, trust your primary instruments, and cross-check constantly. I was listening to the segment about airport departures on parallel runways, and a story popped to mind, which I think is worth sharing. One time in Heathrow, on my very last line of flight of the command upgrade course, before the release into line, I made a classic mistake. We were cleared for takeoff on 27 left, and as soon as the aircraft got airborne, sure enough, the flight directors commanded a right turn. Since our departures were usually to the south, to our left that day, inbound Southampton, going from Heathrow to Lisbon, I thought it very odd and kept on flying straight, as per SID. As a habit, but also out of training at Ural Acme, which encourages pilots to hand fly as much as possible, but also to actually navigate instead of just trusting the green lines on the navigation display. Huh?
Woohoo! Yeah, we like that.
Wow. Good idea. I usually tune whatever nav aids are available, and so on that night, my instincts to disregard the flight director bar and navigate classically kicked in. That meant that I should keep flying on runway heading until some miles and then intercept an outbound radial out of London, VOR. But I might have hesitated during the initial flying bit as the controller came up on frequency and asked us which SID we were performing. I looked down at the flight management FMGS. What's that? Something.
Flight management guidance system.
Guidance system. Thank you. And the SID inserted was for 27 right, even though he had briefed, used the appropriate charts, and even calculated performance for 27 left. The programmed runway at the FMGS was the other one. Just goes to show how expectation bias works. Since we actually flew the appropriate SID and no deviation was done, this wasn't a noticeable slip for everyone else. Nonetheless, we filled out the air safety report, made a record of it on the journey log in case we got fines for noise abatement, and I got a top mark on my training folder. I guess the trainer was even more embarrassed than me that he didn't pick up the mistake himself. It was a valuable lesson, fortunately without any serious consequences. Anyway, long story short, double check your departures, trust your primary instruments, and cross-check constantly. Thanks for your sharing of experiences, and keep up the good job of trading war stories that make us all better. Cheers.
Absolutely.
And that's from Pedro Tito. U.S. Blackhawk in our live audience says that's why many towers in the U.S. ask you for your first point to confirm that you're going to fly the correct SID, Standard Instrument Departure. That's what SID stands for. Yep, it's good practice.
But I'm guessing Pedro is talking about the old days when we didn't do so many waypoint orientated departures, and it was probably all done on radials, bearings, and radials.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And I have done exactly the same thing on exactly the same airfield, on exactly the same runways on a very early trip as a new captain. And we had, I think, 2 or 3 runway changes on the way out for whatever reason, and programming everything in, we got out of phase, and we had a departure in for the right runway, and we finally got airborne on the left runway. And the last thing in those days that the Airbus did was, as you advance the throttles, was to reapply any bias that had been caused by the inertial reference systems drifting while you were taxiing out, and zero the aircraft's position on the threshold of the runway you put in. So we immediately had a map shift that when moved the position of the aircraft by, I don't know, a mile, I guess, mile and a bit, the distance between the 2 runways. And on the departure, of course, the aircraft immediately wanted to get to the track it thought it ought to be on by doing a right turn. We did exactly the same, kicked the autopilot off, and just flew straight ahead. And air traffic said, they spotted it straight away. It just shows how alert those boys are. You got a problem? And we just said, could you just confirm we're on the correct track for our departure? And they said, yeah, you're pretty good. So we carried on and flew it on raw data. But Yeah. No, he was downstairs in the office picking his nose. I don't think he was in the. I don't think he was in the glass house that day. So, yeah, but it might have been Adam. You never know. It might have been Adam. I'm sure he would have spotted it but we barely twitched, but it was enough for them to go, oi, why is his right wing down? He's departing on the left, going south. So I know exactly what you mean. But I would question your trainer giving you top marks for that, because if you'd flown it perfectly, are you going to give you top marks for that or what? Do you get top marks for making a mistake?
I think you get top marks for making and possibly making a mistake and recognizing it very, very rapidly.
I think you get good marks for that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That was the second part of my statement.
I was going to say it's not the trainer's job to pick up your mistakes. He's just there to criticize you at the end.
Exactly. And if you can keep him out of trouble, then
that
probably
helps.
keep yourself out of trouble as well.
Yeah.
Oh no! Speaking of trouble, this is going to be. I can just sense it. Okay, here we go. Let's hear what kind of audio feedback we have from this person.
Hello, airline pilot guys and airline pilot girls.
Hello,
and I guess
Pip.
everyone in between as well. Pip here. With I don't know, a wonderment, a question for you. Just your thoughts on something. On episode 585, 584, something like that, a few episodes ago, you were discussing an event at an airfield, I forget which one, where two aircraft on parallel runways departed, and due to one of them flying the incorrect departure SID, they both turned in the same direction, hence towards each other, causing a little bit of a conflict, which was then resolved by, I guess, a switched-on air traffic controller asking a series of questions along the lines of, hey, are you visual with the other aircraft? I think he asked both aircraft. And I wonder if that was perhaps the most efficient way or most expeditious way or even the safest way. Would it not be easier perhaps to have simply, once you recognize the conflict, simply say, issue an instruction, hey, aircraft A, turn right immediately heading, whatever, 330 degrees, and resolve the conflict that way? You know, what if the aircraft had replied and said, hey, no, we don't see the other aircraft, what's going on? Or maybe they had been in IMC conditions, maybe they're in cloud and couldn't see each other. What might have happened then? And I suppose this is really one of the very stark differences between air traffic control provision on your side of the pond versus our side of the pond, at least in my pretty limited experience of flying over there. You know, I don't think I've ever been asked, am I visual with another traffic, at least for the purposes of deconfliction. Now, and I'm assuming these guys were departing both on IFR flight plans and departing from an airport in controlled airspace. So doesn't the responsibility of deconfliction of IFR traffic fall on the controller? It certainly would over here. You know, again, in the limited amount of flying I've done over there, I've always been just a smidgen uncomfortable when I've been asked, really without having requested it, to maintain my own traffic separation. You know, I guess that normally happens on approaches, right? You very often cleared visual approach over there, even without having asked for one, which is not really that common over here. So there it is, just a wonderment. What do you think about that? I mean, this is not a criticism in any way at all. It's a genuine discussion point as to what's going on there versus what's going on over here. That's it, really. Incidentally, as I was thinking about this little bit of feedback, I think I may have got a speeding ticket. I was just driving out of Luton Airport, having finished a pretty unusually easy 5 days, and I glanced down at my speedometer and was horrified to see I was going 58 on a road which is notorious for its speed cameras, and the limit is 50. So maybe you guys owe me $80. Made me think, man. I'm not used to thinking, and you guys made me think. Anyhow, that's it. Hope everyone's well. Catch up soon. Bye.
What's our coffee fund?
Just a little bit I wanted to add, a little bit of trivia for you. You were talking about that procedure where the pilots are asked to confirm the first point on their flight plan in the departure, which I agree is a very sensible and good procedure. And there is only one other place I can think of in Europe, at least, that does that, and that's in Dublin. Quite why they do it in Dublin, I don't know, because they've only just in the last year or so got parallel runways. It always used to be taking off in one direction. So I guess something that happened in Dublin to cause that procedure. But it's not part of the, they don't ask you to confirm that on the takeoff clearance. It's, if I remember correctly, it's on the initial taxi clearance. When you call for taxi, they ask you to confirm the first point on your departure.
It's all the Guinness.
I wanted to say they do it somewhere, possibly in Dubai, if memory serves. But you're right, it's a good procedure, and maybe it should happen everywhere. Okay, that definitely is it. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Wait, hang on. Regarding the $80 speeding ticket, hang on. What's our coffee fund balance? Less than $80 is the answer I just heard. All right, so sorry.
Bad luck. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I meant to good points, and I point well taken as well. I think maybe it would have been more efficient just to say, instead of asking him if he sees the other airplane that he's about to hit, maybe just turn right, like take control of the situation. Oh wait, take controller. I agree. They're responsible for deconfliction. They are both airlines. They are both operating on IFR flight plans for sure, whether they're visual or not. And that just sounds like a couple of extra radio transmissions that wouldn't be necessary and could have resulted in a collision. Yeah, it was the pilot's fault for doing the wrong turn, the wrong departure, but just sort it out, and then give them the phone number, and then you can sort it all out in the aftermath. And I know, yeah, it's a different environment. Captain Nick has reminded us of that many, many times over here in the States. We kind of treat visual approaches much more differently than what you experience, or if you even experience them at all in other parts of the world. I'm not sure.
Yeah, very rare elsewhere.
Yeah.
Very rare.
I was going to make a point about, and I meant to, talking about the previous piece of feedback before we jumped on this one, is that, and this is just some good information for those of you out there who are new to Part 121 or Part 135 flying, and or who happen to fly into or out of, actually, Atlanta International Airport. It's one of those places that I haven't seen anywhere else. And they'll hold you, they'll give you a takeoff clearance. You take off, and then most places, almost immediately after your first couple of 100 feet, you're off the end of the runway, and they switch you to departure control, radio frequency. In Atlanta, they wait longer than anywhere else, and I always wondered why, because especially people that are not used to flying into Atlanta International are like, okay, do you want me to switch to departure? Because this is usually what we do in almost every other airport. And then they'll say, no, hang on, need to stay with me a little bit longer, and then they'll switch them. And sometimes people will just switch on their own, like, okay, I know I shouldn't still be on tower frequency now. But the reason they do that, I took a tour of the tower, and they said, we have all these multiple departures on all these different runways, and some of the departure trajectories on the same departure runway can differ by about 6-7 degrees, if that. And they have to make sure by, visually, if conditions are such that they can visually see the aircraft taking off, they have to ensure, and they're using their radar as well, I'm sure. They have to ensure that we're doing the right track on that particular departure transition before they let us go to departure control, because they've had some issues in the past where people were flying the wrong departure transition right off the end of the runway. So they kind of they hold on to you a little bit longer than normal. That's my advice, or my point to you, if you're not used to flying out of Atlanta International, that pro tip. Thank you, Liz. That's something. Don't expect to get switched over immediately. Do you remember that, Nick?
Oh yeah, Atlanta, absolutely. And there were some height constraints to meet, 10 or 14 miles. I'm trying to think what they were, but they often used to wait until you got to that sort of a range, 10 or 15 miles away, before they'd hand you off. And it was a bit weird because, you're so used to doing it, it's quite natural. Get airborne and you get a frequency change and off you go.
Yeah.
And to be held on like that felt weird.
Yeah, it's just like you feel like they've forgotten about me out here.
Exactly.
No,
right.
they're doing it to everybody. Yes, Liz?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm in trouble with Texas Anlashock. Less than $80. I demand an audit. Well, you know what? I would be so happy to give you an audit or submit to an audit, Texas Anlashock, except that we're not a nonprofit and I don't have to submit myself to an
We're
audit.
not a non-profit. That's a double negative.
We are. That is true. We are. Okay. We are. Oh, we are not a nonprofit. No, that's correct.
We're
are
not a
for-profit.
non-profit.
Exactly.
That means we are a profit.
Exactly. And profits.
But we don't
have to-
make profit. No, we're a non-profit.
I'm so confused. No, that's my answer.
Okay.
You can demand all you want, Texas.
You're not getting it.
You ain't gonna get it.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right. How are we
Yeah,
doing with
Black
the
Hawk
time?
mentions that Heathrow do the land after clearance, and that's pretty rare in my experience. In fact, in all the time I flew in there, I never got one.
What is that?
Well, you're allowed, in certain circumstances, you're allowed to be given a landing clearance with one aircraft on the runway, but it has to be a long way down, etc., etc. There has to be certain weather conditions. I can't remember what all the rules are, but I've certainly been given lots of approaches in the States where you are required to. I mean, San Francisco was a classic, where you had to confirm your visual with the aircraft on the parallel runway because you're both making approaches, and you're pretty, as you probably all aware, the San Francisco parallel runways are tight. They're close together. And you had to remain behind, for example, an aircraft. And it was a bit hard because if you've got a little lighter machine that had a lower threshold speed, he'd start slowing up to land, and you're already at minimum speed and you're starting to barrel past him and you're not supposed to overtake him. What happened if you did overtake him? I never really knew. I assumed you'd have to do a go around, but it was sometimes a bit embarrassing because you're sort of overhauling this aircraft. But there you go.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult sometimes because your speeds aren't going to exactly match. It might be a much smaller airplane with a much lower approach speed.
Yeah.
That's one of the. There are several challenging airports around the world, and San Francisco is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we used to have to make. I don't know if we still do. I haven't flown into San Francisco International in many, many years. But we, in our special pages, had, as a briefing item, we had to make a PA to the passengers to alert them to the fact that we are flying in very close to other airplanes, and don't freak out. I forgot exactly what the wording was.
That's a really good PA, Jeff.
Yeah.
We're going to be right on top of this airplane, so don't freak out.
Yeah, no, relax, chill out. It's okay.
That's
we
right.
know what we're doing.
Smoke the weed.
But apparently that disappeared from our briefing guide. So I guess maybe somebody thought, maybe we shouldn't just point that out. Maybe they'll never.
I love it.
Well, you know what? I know what it is. It used to be back in the day where people would actually have their window shades open and be looking out the window.
Oh, that's
Now nobody does. So, nobody's going to notice that we're like right next to another airplane.
That's wingtip to wingtip. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. Els Pilato is back with us.
Oh, wow.
Let's see.
Has he not got a life? He keeps writing to us.
Is there any other life than APG? Come on.
Right.
Rick.
Fair enough.
I feel like there isn't. All right. Hi, Jeff and crew. Referring to AGP 5. Oh, no, he's written into the wrong podcast again.
Oh,
this is meant
Guylet
for
Pie.
Airplane Geeks podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe Micah. Yeah, Micah, are you in the audience still? Maybe you can answer this question. Okay. Referring to episode 587 and a few other incidents discussed in other episodes before, it's really disappointing how many pilots are not able or try to keep a mental model of what is happening around them. When underway, I always try to build a picture with the FO of where we are in the mix, whether it be guessing our push sequence, and who's pushing before us and who pushing before us could block or delay our movements, to figuring out how we slot into the arrival sequence based on the radio chatter backed up with the TCAS display, pulling together what aircraft types and weight categories are around us, at what levels, what speeds, what headings, give us a chance to adjust our trajectory and configuration to the most likely outcome to nail a CDA, constant descent angle, I guess. Oh no. Is my audio
I just had
choppy?
a little click, but it was okay. It sounded reasonable.
Let me check, make sure I'm still on the Ethernet. Should be. Well, let me just check. It's worth checking.
Yeah, a little crackle there.
Well,
but
I don't know why.
It'll probably be fine in the recording.
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I don't hear anything when I'm recording. Everything sounds fine. Okay, if it gets really bad, just yell out and I'll stop. Okay.
Pulling together.
Okay. Clean out your ears, Liz. Pulling together what aircraft types and weight categories are around us, at what levels, what speeds, what headings, gives us a chance to adjust our trajectory and configuration to the most likely outcome to nail a CDA and not be caught high and have dirty up quickly. And not be caught high and having to dirty up quickly too, I think. Dirty up quickly with an early gear drop. The Kalitta 690 in Cincinnati should have been aware that departures and arrivals were using intersecting runways and thus worth extra vigilance. When I am operating into or out of JFK on the 13s or 22s or Melbourne on 34 and 27 in operation, I listen very carefully to understand who is using the intersecting runway and look to spot them visually or at the least on TCAS before we land or roll. The JetBlue 2826 into JFK, of course, was another case of knowing who and what is around. First, I think that the guys were too quick to initiate the go-around. There was clearly no urgency from the controller who said cancel the approach before saying go around. This clearly implies there is time available to set up the go around. Oh, and as an aside, I was thinking about, this is Jeff speaking, that same situation with the JetBlue, and then they told them for whatever reason to discontinue the approach and almost immediately said go around. I'm thinking in that case, and Nick made the great point that, they were actually a little bit above the go around altitude, or the altitude cleared to once they took them off the approach. I'm thinking maybe even not even saying go around might be a good idea for the controllers, because, when I think of a go around, as you mentioned as well, when we discussed it, that's usually a situation where you're getting really pretty close to touchdown, and go around, you want the power to come in to toga power and get that airplane up, in a trajectory of going upward and away from the ground. But if you're coming in and they just think, okay, we can't squeeze you in here, for whatever reason, we want you to just basically maintain your altitude and fly this heading. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe they're required to say go around, but I would just say discontinue the approach and fly heading so-and-so and maintain 2,000 feet. And in fact, I've heard that many times, well, not many times, but I've heard that a few times in my career where, you don't hear the word go around and you're not tempted to push that go around button. And I don't know. What do you think about that, Nick?
No, I think it's a very good point. You're right. I think in some circumstances, if they require you to do a go around, they've got to say go around. But I also have been in plenty of situations where you're encroaching on the guy ahead, so he's saying cancel the approach. And I've had the JFK controllers, so pretty they commonly use this, and then they give you a series of S-turns on the approach to try and generate some distance between you and the guy ahead before reinitiating your approach clearance, so that you can re-intercept the ILS and try and make an approach from wherever disastrous position they've dumped you.
How does that work? Usually work out? Does it work out?
Sometimes. Occasionally. Yeah, but I mean, it must be a bit disconcerting for the passengers, because you're weaving these huge airplanes around, and that was one of my complaints, really, because give it to the little guys that can maneuver like that. For us big fellas, it was uncomfortable for everybody on board and a bit of a drama for us. So
they don't even know back there. They got the window shades down. They're playing their video games or watching their stupid movies, and on their fifth gin and tonic.
Yes. Indeed they are, Jeff. But you're quite right. I think you're right. If there is time, you just plenty of time and there's no panic, just give the guy the instructions you want him to do. Discontinue the approach, turn left heading, blah blah. Maintain 2000, and then the guys can just start flying the airplane.
Exactly.
But closer, once you're on the slope, going down the slope, I think the go around call is probably a requirement.
Probably is. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, going
back
to...
If there's an air trafficker listening, we don't get many because we insult them so much.
Well, I wish that there was some kind of a podcast out there where there were air traffic controllers that knew this kind of stuff.
Golly, yes. If only there was someone we could ask that knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Going back with El Palato here, they should have read back the instructions unrushed before the pilot flying checked the altitude set in the window, quickly running the clearance through the BS checker, and then give a mini brief. Those extra 15 seconds, in my experience, make a massive difference in terms of relieving the mental pressure caused by this sporadically flown maneuver, which is coupled with a serious performance kick up the backside, unlike a takeoff, which is normally at reduced thrust, higher weights, expected, and well briefed. Yeah, he made a good point. Yep. Furthermore, I'm disappointed with the tower, as I have done a JFK tower visit, and on said visit, I did offer solutions to them on how to reduce the frequent altitude busts on go-arounds. That's what they really love. They love hearing airline pilots tell them how to do their jobs.
Well, yeah, particularly in JFK, where they have no egos whatsoever. Yeah.
Anyway, he continues, one solution I offered was that they used the phrase, in the event of a go-around, left heading 180, climb 2,000 feet, count at least 5 seconds, and then instruct a go-around, thus giving the crew time to absorb the new info and set up without startle and pressure. He does know we're talking about Kennedy, right? Okay. What kind of world are you living in, Els Pilatos? Captain Nick was quite correct. I'll read that again.
What?
Captain Nick was quite correct that in the U.S. Where's the
Do
bell?
I get a gold star?
You do. Not only that,
is Liz keeping count of these?
Yeah, I think somebody's keeping track of it. That in the U.S., the published missed approaches at busy airports are never flown. TRACONs, Terminal Area Control, and towers will have an LOA, a letter of agreement, to which the tower will issue a pre-agreed to initial go-around instructions in the event of a go-around actioned by the tower or pilots. A great example of situational awareness was the Ryanair 973 at Venice on the 18th of October last year. Low vis ops, RVR 300 meters, 1,000 feet. They were cleared to line up and wait while a controller change occurred in the tower. This resulted in the new controller failing to plug in correctly and subsequently resulting in the takeoff clearance and later the go-around clearance to the Iberia on approach not being heard. Okay, he was talking, but nobody was hearing him. The Ryanair guys' situational awareness was excellent, and they transmitted to the Iberia, who was passing 1,200 feet on approach, that they were still on the runway and the Iberia needed to go around. Disappointingly, the Iberia crew did not react to the information and continued below 500 feet, forcing the Ryanair crew to start racing to exit the runway. The Iberia carried out the go-around only once the controller resolved the headset issue and instructed a go-around. Wow, that's weird. They weren't listening at all to the other aircraft.
No, they just didn't. They just carried on a bit further than was probably sensible before they initiated the go-around. But they were probably questioning where this transmission had come from, or whether they ought to obey the instruction. Yeah,
good point. They probably had that discussion. And that also kind of goes back to that issue that we had here in the U.S. at Austin under low vis conditions when the Southwest pilot, I think, told the other pilot on approach to go around. Anyway, we're not going to go over that again. Lack of SA, situational awareness, appears to be an issue on the rise. I agree. And I hope by talking about it will spur other pilots into actively building it rather than letting controllers and automation handle it. Happy days aloft to all, else Pilato. And that reminds me, the lack of SA. When you see you're walking in the airport terminals and concourses, and the passengers are just walking around aimlessly, and then they stop, and like completely unaware that there are other people in the world around them. And we like to term that, or I've used this term several times, NASA. NA on the SA. So in other words, no
very good
situational awareness, NASA.
Yeah. No, there's some great points there, Els Pilato. Well said. But I particularly like the comment about my correctness. Thanks for that. No, I also like the idea of if you're going to give a non-standard go-around, which is, de rigueur over in the States, you would be really useful to reiterate what it's likely or what it's going to be before you actually give the go around. But better still, just amend all the damn plates so that the go around issued on the publications matches what you're actually going to get in the real world, because that's what we set up to, that's what we brief, that's what we study on our approaches so that we know what's likely to happen. And why have something completely different when you actually come to the real world? So that it's that mismatch between what's on the approach plates and what you actually get that, for me, was the huge annoyance. So get that fixed. How's that?
I'm not actually sure about. I mean, I think I remember having a discussion about this in the past, where the missed approach. The formal missed approach procedure that are on the approach plates, and it might be different in ICAO world than FAA world, are really kind of like almost like worst case situations where you've lost radio contact and you just fly the approach procedure there, but it may not actually jive with the current conditions at the time, and it's almost impossible to come up with a procedure that works flawlessly in every situation. I don't know. That could be wrong. Maybe that's a good question for us to pose to the boys over there at opposing bases.
Indeed, but you can get away with a lot of differences, but the important one is actually the go-around altitude. The altitude you get a level effect, because that's what catches you out. If you're expecting a go-around altitude of, say, 4,000 feet, which was common on the plates for JFK, and in your go-around, you're suddenly told it's 2,000 feet. Well, when you've got a big airplane going up on full toga power, to stop it in 2,000 feet is sometimes a bit of a trick. So, it just at least have the go-around altitude corrected to what you're likely to get.
Good point.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
That was just one of Nick's pet peeves.
Nick's pet peeves. Ooh, Nick's pet peeves. Wait, I could probably do a better job. Let's see if I can find the pet peeves. Okay.
Ooh,
Nick's pet peeves. No, that doesn't work very well. All right. number 12, we're going to skip to Nick. And
Cool.
This is from Mark, Mark Z. And he is addressing the
Mr.
issues
Ops.
with GPS spoofing. He says, you have a great show going there with APG, longtime listener, first-time scribbler. Especially grateful for your solid focus on incidents and safety. Helps trends become clear and gives us as airline pilots excellent understanding of the things that are happening around us. This is such important work, and your analysis is always bang on. Oh, I like this guy.
100%, yeah.
Please keep sending us. Oh, yeah. Hang on. There we go. I'm the founder of an organization called Ops Group. We are a group of pilots and dispatchers that work together to keep each other informed of new risks and changes, also known as finding the problems that might put us in jeopardy. You've covered some of our stuff on the show before, mostly around fixing those dastardly NOTAMs. They're the ones that came up with the field guide.
Yeah,
to
that
NOTAMs
was brilliant. That
and the
was
video
absolutely
and all
brilliant.
that. Yeah, this is amazing. Wanted to share a story we just put out yesterday regarding a strange new thing happening, a new type of GPS spoofing leading quickly to complete nav failure. Infects the IRS pretty quickly, and crews have been reduced to asking for ATC vectors as all nav systems on board are out of action. Sounds horrendous and maybe even impossible, but we've had 16 reports now of the same thing in the past week, all in the Iraq-Iran region, but it's now clear it can happen anywhere. All of us are surprised that the IRS can be taken out of action in this way. And then he gives us a link to the Ops Group article regarding the GPS spoof attacks. And he says, thanks again, sterling work, critical work. It's very much appreciated by the community. Kind regards, Mark. And by the way, we should also say on his side, we had some back and forth with Mark. And the Ops Group, as you mentioned, is a group of pilots and dispatchers and dealing with things going on around the entire world. And they're doing just outstanding work. Thank you, Mark, for all the work of Ops Group. And I've referred to it quite a bit, and I had a nice discussion with Mark. And he actually was kind enough to make us members of the Ops Group thing. And so we will now be able to have access to a lot more information, happenings around the world, and hopefully be able to use that information to broadcast it out to you all listening to the show. And maybe that will be something that will be helpful to you and keep you safe out there. Thank you, Mark, for giving us the honorary lifetime membership of Ops Group. That's very, very good stuff.
Oh, it's a fantastic source of information, and it's really up to date because pilots who have noticed something different, dispatchers who've realized there's a change in procedures at various airports around the world, plus anomalies and flight safety hazards and everything that can affect an airline crew are being brought to the attention of all the members, almost, within minutes of them being noticed. So, it's a great way to establish, and it's a kind of a backdoor to the formal paperwork that often is lacking in detail and isn't written in sort of pilot speak, NOTAMs in particular.
Yes.
So I thought it was brilliant. Regarding this GPS spoofing, I was fascinated by it. And there seemed to be a feeling amongst quite a few pilots who had reported this, that their inertial navigation systems were being affected. I wrote to Mark, and we corresponded a little bit, and I said, I don't think the inertial navigation says the raw data for the position is being affected. But of course, a navigation, the computerized navigation position that is given to the pilots isn't just the inertial navigation position from their gyros. which is, of course, an independent set of gyros that basically is capable of giving you its position anywhere on the globe, and is subject to drift because it's just a reference system, and it doesn't matter how well they're engineered, they will drift a little bit. They're corrected by various means, and the old-fashioned way was to use DME arcs, or VOR DME arcs if you didn't have two DMEs, to give you an accurate position from your beacons, and then if the inertial position wasn't exactly there, a bias would be applied to the inertial position, and then you would be given an updated position that included that bias, saying, well, the inertial might have drifted a few miles off, so I'm going to give you a position that takes that into account. And as navigation systems have improved and we now have GPS, which is considerably more accurate, it's that GPS position that is used to give you a bias or a correction to your inertial navigation system to give you the actual aircraft position. But the inertial navigation position is always there and available. You don't actually move the inertials. You just apply a bias, and then that gives you your flight management guidance system position, which is the one we tend to use. Now, if someone spoofs your GPS and moves that, obviously they'll build in an error into that bias that's provided, and the aircraft position will appear to move. Now, your inertial navigation system will still be pretty accurate. It'll be within a few miles of your actual position, but the computerized position, which is looking at your GPS and your inertials and the other inputs and sort of compiling in the computer to average out all those positions and work out where it thinks you are, and that's all done by a computer, can be quite badly affected because the GPS is considered by the aircraft systems to be very accurate, so it's high up the ladder of accuracies, and it gets a lot of importance. Its position is important, and therefore gives the aircraft position the bias, is likely to move it more. So if someone drags your GPS away, then the aircraft position is going to move, but always your inertial navigation system is going to be basically where it always thought it was. It's just that error factor that's being fed into the computer that has been changed. So if you are can do and you turn off your GPS input, the aircraft will revert to what it's got left, which is either raw inertial and perhaps updated by beacons that are around, etc. And it's people who perhaps their systems haven't recognized the error that's being fed in, they haven't recognized the error and turned off GPS, or perhaps the less sophisticated systems on some aircraft, let me put it that way, that have been dragged away. Because I note that not one Airbus has reported an error. It's all other aircraft, in particular exec jets and the smaller, less sophisticated systems that they might have.
Yeah, Luger is, go ahead.
So Luca says the recommendation is presently to disable GPS and set the clock to internal, INT, if spoofing is suspected on the bus. Yeah, that's great advice. And what's more, you can do it on the bus. It's not hard to do, and you can just wind it off. And once you get out of the area and your GPS system has moved back to normal, you can, if you want, re-engage it. But to have your navigation system completely disabled, I would suggest perhaps is unusual. Most pilots can get around it, notice the problem. Certainly the Airbus was very good at noticing differences or errors or anomalies in the navigation system.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. So again, we want to we'll have it in the show notes. We definitely want you all, especially those of you who are flying internationally, and I think really, especially if you're flying Boeings, Embraers, and some of the Gulfstream jets, the global the Challengers, Lear 45 Falcons, Global Expresses. Apparently that they're being more affected than other platforms, and as I said, we'll have that in the show notes. So thanks, Mark. And they have their eyes on it. Even the FAA has issued a warning memo to aircraft operators as a result of the situation, and warning of increased safety of flight risk to civil aviation operations over there in that part of the world. And I've always thought that, and I've mentioned this before, but I'm a little concerned that I understand that everything is shifting to this global positioning systems, the GPS systems and all that kind of stuff. And they're decommissioning all these ground-based navigational aids. And I'm thinking, like, I think we still need to keep some out there, maybe, to keep from, this type of thing happening. Because, I mean, what is it really going to take to knock out some of these GPS arrays, constellations or whatever out there to completely just render GPS navigation useless.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious that countries with the know-how can spoof GPS signals. And so that it becomes a big problem because, so many of our aircraft systems now rely on GPS, and let alone cars and all the rest of the stuff, that, we really do need that to be a reliable system. And if it's not as reliable as we think it is, we need to hang on to those older systems because they can be the cross-check you need to see what is happening to your inertial system. Because if you can pull up a couple of DMEs and get a cross arc and get that position and then compare it, you've got something else to use to decide which system is going wrong.
Yeah. And Super Fred Driver makes a point, as I've been trying to make. VORs are awfully hard to hack, unlike satellites.
Yeah.
And Sam Dawson, a frequent live audience member and part of our APG community, also sent in sent in some feedback regarding this GPS spoofing as well near Iran, and cited another article, ainonline.com. And again, I'm not going to read it because it's basically the same thing as the other article, and just basically talked about these occurrences and how the whole thing works, and how on some airplanes it just completely makes your entire navigation system just throw its hands up and say, I don't know, you have the airplane, good luck, we're all counting on you. So it's a serious issue, and hopefully aircraft manufacturers are going to do something to harden the systems and try to prevent this kind of spoofing attack occurring in the future. But as you said, Nick, I mean, it's probably likely it's going to happen more and more frequently in the future. As
we're in a series of evolving technologies here, because for every counter that we develop, whether we encrypt the signals in a different manner or whatever, the people who are trying to create or spoof the GPS will find a way around that. So it's a matter of being alert and aware of the possibility, so that no one ever sits there in the cruise and picks their nose and does nothing. But now we've got another system to keep an eye on whilst you're drifting around these areas of concern.
Yep. All right. Well, gosh, I wish we had a little bit more time. We have some more great feedback from our audience. Feedback from Rodrigo, Pacheco, or I don't know. Send us some audio feedback to tell us how to pronounce that. Texas Anlashock has some feedback for us. Glaucus, Well, you haven't heard from him in a while about a certain BA pilot misbehaving.
And we didn't get the snorts coke off topless.
No,
something
but
or other.
Don't spoil it. Yeah, nobody's.
Well, I was just hoping it might be a show title.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to save that for the next one, I think.
I'm sure I could
Eugene
come up with
in
something.
Germany.
Particularly after the Brazilian one.
Yeah, I know. We need our audience needs a break from that kind of stuff, I think. And Carl Hoody has a cute cartoon he wanted to share. Anyway, that and much more, maybe yours, dear listener. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. And we always point you to our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where you'll find all kinds of good stuff. And if you want to send us some feedback, right now you can take your phone and point it at the screen if you happen to
I'm
be.
going to do that.
Yeah, well, no, okay, go ahead. Yeah, if you have a QR code reader on your phone, everybody has a QR code reader on their phone these days.
That's. It's open my email app.
Look at that. And it's probably addressed to feedback@airlinepilotguy.com.
No, it's escort services at...
Uh-oh. Somebody hacked my QR code. Darn it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, yeah.
I fancy an escort, yes.
Send us some feedback, if you don't mind, feedback@airlinepilotguy.com. Also, we are on social media, and that is your way to kind of figure out what we're doing and what we're planning as far as show dates and times and that sort of thing. And Captain Nick is going to tell us all about Meta and X and
indeed. If you
crazy
like
things.
that infinity symbol and you're there in Meta, then do a search for Airline Pilot Guy, all one word, and you'll find our Facebook page. And the old Twitter, and now X, we're at APG Crew, and Instagram. Which who's bought out Instagram? It is Meta, yeah, I thought so, yeah, which is kind of Meta in another way. APG Crew is where you want to be, and then of course we have Hilal's little empire.
Oh yeah, the Slack empire, and I don't know if he's here or not, but let me see. I'm going to turn up the fader. Oh yeah, he's in the bathroom again. Hey, Hilal, can you tell us about Slack? It's okay as long as you... No. Go back. Put the towel back. Put the towel on. Okay. Now, nobody wants to see that. You're right, Liz. All right. Can you please tell us something about Slack, Hillel?
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
All right. Appreciate it, Hillel.
I need a towel. I got shampoo in my eyes.
Oh, well, sorry.
Wow. Throw one to him.
Well, he's taking his towel off and
oh no,
doing it like a whip. Ow! Ow! Stop! Anyway, so again, that's the information about Slack, and let's see. Oh, we can't forget about our lovely producer, Liz. Come on in.
Now you don't forget.
I'll never ever forget.
Hi, Liz. I didn't forget, Liz.
I know.
Speaking of getting slapped, that's the on my face. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ow.
Anyway, great show, you guys, and it was great to have our special guests and Nick Camacho.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? A treat.
Yes, it was nice to have our special guests, and great to have all you in our live audience, and you listening now. We're glad to be in your ears, so to speak. And with that, we're going to bid you adieu and wish you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Yeah, bye, everybody.
See you next week.
I don't know. Has the GPS drifted?
He's still confused.
I'm not
Turn
surprised.
off your recorder there, Jeff.
Recorder.
Now,
Okay.
Jeff, Neil's asking a question here. You might want to answer.
Do you still have a PO box? What's a PO box? Or is it a poo box?
Post office box. A PO box is what we call them around here. You know what, Neil? I do not have a PO box. Let's
Bye,
see.
Ludger.
We can.
Cheers, Ludger.
And gosh, I'd love to get a retirement gift, but I mean, I'm trying to cut down on stuff.
But maybe it's just a note or a letter.
Yeah, something like that.
Letter
Okay.
of appreciation.
Well, let me go to the website. I maybe don't have my address on there. Probably don't. There it is. Airline pilot guy, contact us.
British Invasion. I was very close with that Texas Shock. I had PTUK Takeover as a possible title.
Yeah.
British Invasion, PTUK Takeover. We're on the same track there. My other couple ones, Nick, were the APG players go to Broadway or on Broadway.
Who's typing right now?
Not me.
But you weren't. It's something I heard this that kind of sound, but obviously you weren't typing when you were talking. But I could hear that kind of vibration going on, and I was having a conversation with Liz. I said, "Are you doing that?" And she said, "No."
No.
Are you near your microphone? Yeah, that's making definitely a booming sound.
Well, that's just my desk. I mean, my mic is on a remote stand. It hovers over the desk.
So it's not the mic's not connected to your desk?
No.
Wow, that's weird. Because I've never heard it before.
Just hovering.
Huh. Wow. No, because that's a different sound. What I was hearing was what the sound that you're making with the desk.
I wasn't really doing that. I was just trying to. I mean, obviously, if I touch the desk, and I'm actually touching it quite lightly.
But is the that arm, that mic boom arm, connected to the desk?
Yeah, a good meter away.
Yeah. So that's what it's picking up, that thing.
And this is in a cage.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously you can hear that too, Liz, right? When he's tapping on his desk.
I did hear that.
Yeah,
but
that's what I kept hearing, and I'm thinking I've never heard that from Nick before ever until today.
Well, I haven't changed anything, honest.
So Nick,
I know that's weird.
Just a couple of other suggestions before we get off topic here. Flaming engines. You had a thing. You were talking about flaming engines. I don't know what that was in regard to, and then. Someone in the chat room brought up your comment about a certain air traffic controller at Heathrow downstairs picking his nose.
Yep, I've got Adam in the office picking his nose.
There you go. Yeah.
Nick is the one that came up with that. Yeah. He's the
Bye,
one that
KFC,
said.
make good winglets. Bye. He's going to fly miners into the middle of the desert.
Oh, okay. Bye. KFC, make good winglets. Thanks for that name. I really
iHall Boxes says you don't want to miss any of the somebody might want to send you a retirement check, Jeff. So
okay. Well, in that case,
you don't want to miss
let
that.
Let me do. It's okay to put my address in here, right?
Well, if you get a retirement check, could just go in the coffee fund, couldn't it?
It's there.
Because it's
it
goes straight in your pocket anyway.
It goes right in my pocket, like all of it.
You're the money.
That is my apartment address. And
you'll be there for a while based on the RV.
You know what?
deliveries.
Actually, probably. You know what? Actually, I'll give her the South Dakota address because that way,
that's probably a
no
good
matter
idea.
where I am.
Yes.
That's where
It'll
all my
find you.
mail
That's a
will
good
go,
idea.
and then I can have it sent to wherever I am. So let's see. Let me put that in there. 514 America's Way. Oh, no, there's no apostrophe there. America's Way. I don't think you can put apostrophes in addresses. Box. Oh, no, I got to put my number in there. 17851. And that's in Box Elder, which is right next to Rapid City. SD 57719. There we go. That's probably the best one to use, Neil. It's kind of cool. It's called a commercial mail forwarding service. And so when I'm out there in the my house on wheels, if I happen to be in Canada, well, I'm probably not Canada. That's not a good example. If I were out on the West Coast or Arizona or something like that, I can, have that whatever mail is collected. There's like a way for me to see it and have them scan it and send it to me if it's something I needed to have.
Tanya's going to start stalking you now, Jeff. She's telling us.
She's going to hang out in Box Elder waiting for me to show up.
She'll be waiting a long time.
I'm probably not going to be there very much.
No.
Well, I guarantee I'll be there once every 5 years.
Yes, that's right.
Overnight.
Get your
that's the requirement for having South Dakota as your domicile.
Right.
But the previous one, Tanya, though, you're right. The one that I can't erase that I put up there, my actual apartment address. You can stalk me over here if you'd like. I'm not sure that Phil would like that.
Just because Neil says you're about to get hundreds of pizzas.
Oh, and I'm going to have to pay for them. Neil, thanks for putting that suggestion in people's minds and people's heads.
Anyway.
I swear, if I start getting pizzas.
So, Nick, do you think you got something to work on there?
I have no idea. I'll look at it tomorrow.
You'll think about it.
See. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, we're going to
watch
say
out for
goodnight.
that dog. It's about to hit you in the head, Nick. Oh.
Oh, no.
That's Zeta. That's Zeta.
Is that Zeta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that rainbow actually happen, or did you put that in?
I will let you wonder about that.
In other words, yeah, you photoshopped.
It might be a little enhanced. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
cheers,
thank you,
folks.
Appreciate it.
See you next time.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
Love you.
Great.